else. This is something, and it's like a new discovery, like, good morning. God's been saying this for many, many years. And when we turn to God for help, that God should give us a good year, the best thing we could do is to help somebody else. That's why it's been a tradition for many years that before Yom Kippur, people send out especially for food. So thank you very much. Have a Shana Tova to you, Mituka, and a meaningful Yom Kippur.
Thank you very much, Zalman Duchman.
Welcome to ILTV Security Brief. I'm Kalev Ben-David. Each week, we focus on the latest developments in security and defense relating to Israel and the Middle East, impacting on this region and beyond. And we start with our top items of the past week. President Trump is set to present his peace plan for Gaza to Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House Monday, which calls for the freeing of all 48 hostages, a withdrawal of IDF forces, a boost in humanitarian aid, the disarming of Hamas, and a multinational Arab-Muslim force to take over security control. Israel carries out its largest airstrike yet against the Houthis, hitting top military targets in Sana'a, including its top military headquarters. The raid comes after a drone launched from Yemen wounds over 20 people, hitting downtown Eilat. IDF forces advanced deeper into Gaza City, killing dozens of Hamas terrorists, seizing hundreds of weapons, and destroying the group's remaining military infrastructure there. 2 IDF soldiers fall in combat in Gaza City, bringing to over 470 the number of Israelis killed in the Strip since the fighting began there following the October 7th attack. Israeli airstrikes target a Hezbollah missile production site in the Bekaa Valley. This as Lebanon marks 1 year since its leader Hassan Nasrallah was killed, and the IDF releases new details about the operation that eliminated him. The UN reimposes the snapback sanctions on Iran over its refusal to enable free inspections of its nuclear program. The sanctions include freezing Iranian assets abroad, halting arms sales to the Tehran regime, and placing restrictions on its ballistic missile program. And now our big story. Prime Minister Netanyahu will meet with President Trump in the White House Monday for a potentially historic meeting. On the table is Trump's 21 plan for ending the Gaza war, one that would see all 48 hostages returned, an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, a boost in aid, the disarming of Hamas, the introduction of a multinational Arab-Muslim force in the Strip, a new governing body that would exclude the terror group, and ultimately the renewal of some kind of political negotiations between Israel and a reformed Palestinian Authority. Now, this comes just after Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed to continue the fight against Hamas in his speech at the UN General Assembly, and the plan does have points previously rejected by both Israel and Hamas. Still, President Trump sounded optimistic, speaking to reporters.
And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know. I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter, not 10.
Well, joining us for more on this and other issues is IDF Reserves Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Doron Avital. He is the former commander of IDF Special Forces. Doron, thank you for joining us. Before we get into the details of the plan, I want to get your general impression of it, how you think Prime Minister Netanyahu should respond, why you think President Trump is bringing it and being so optimistic and moving forward with the plan at this time.
I think this is a turning point. I think it seems that there's no way to put it forward. We see the general opposition that Israel has around the globe, and even Trump has to reconsider his positions. And I think he wants to conclude it, and I think he will put his full force on Netanyahu to accept this 21 points plan. But of course, the implementation would be a big issue. The plan is on paper, but I think there would be a real push to conclude this stage of the war right now.
A push to conclude, but we don't have to go into all 21 points, but there are some which, for example, for the Netanyahu government are a little problematic.
Exactly.
Let's start breaking it down. One is, for example, the using a multinational Arab Muslim force to provide security in the Gaza Strip. Israel doesn't have a great history with multinational forces. Some of the countries that took part in the planning of this are countries like Turkey, Qatar, which have problematic relations with Israel. Can Israel rely on this kind of force? And if not, what kind of other security guarantees does Israel require?
First of all, we are all around the Gaza Strip, and we have our forces in the perimeter of the Gaza Strip. And this is a very narrow strip. You have to understand it. Second, look at Syria. This was clearly our enemy for a while, and now we are participating in trying to create some security arrangement. So I don't think there's any other avenue than this one. Then, and don't forget, the resources, the financial resources that would have to be introduced to the Gaza Strip, they would come from where? Not from the Israeli taxpayers' money.
Right,
So,
the Gulf states
exactly.
and Qatar, presumably,
and
among
the
them.
Saudis for sure. And this would come, of course, they would require some guarantees that the money goes where it is, and that those forces would be, in the end, with some affiliation, and I would say strong affiliation in the end, and this would be the hardest thing to swallow to this current government in Israel, the Palestinian Authority. Reformed, whatever, but the Palestinian
Well,
Authority.
let's talk about that, because that's actually another of the points, which is that there'll be a governing authority that maybe not initially, but eventually will include, quote, reformed Palestinian Authority, but there's no timeline on those reforms, no specifics about it. Prime Minister Netanyahu has repeatedly said that he won't accept the Palestinian Authority seemingly in any form in Gaza. So how much flexibility is there for him on this?
Yeah, maybe it doesn't, but I'm not sure Israel has any flexibility. See, the overall vote of recognition of the Palestinian state among European countries. So even Trump, even the U.S. under the Trump administration has to maneuver in this international climate. So I think Palestinian Authority in one form or another would have to participate in Gaza, and it will be very interesting to see how Netanyahu, with this current government, maneuver through this labyrinth. So reformed Palestinian Authority, not now, later, but in the end, I don't think the Arab states would put their resources, you talked about the Gulf states, without, in the end, participation in some sense or another of the Palestinian Authority.
Right, but of course, this is not all on Israel. Hamas has to agree to this deal, and they have already repeatedly rejected one of the key points, which is the disarming of Hamas. There's no timeline on that. In fact, there's talk that the plan would even move ahead. The initial phases, if Hamas does not agree to disarm, which sounds very problematic. And if so, then who is going to oversee the disarming of Hamas?
So first of all, this is a process in time. I mean, we don't think about disarming in one day. But as a process of time, we see what's going on with the Hezbollah. We see the process that goes there with the Lebanese government, this attempt to de-arm the Hezbollah. In the end, we want, and we'll have to get Gaza Strip demilitarized, or the fact that there would be no Hamas holding weaponry in the Gaza Strip. The question is, those Gulf states and their security forces, what role they can take in this process that will go over time, and what role we can take, and what kind of coordination we can sync between us and those new forces that would come. The implementation, this is where the action is. This is the problem.
Right.
But I don't see any other option but for Israel in this stage, tactically or otherwise, to say, yes, we go forward with ending the war, release of the hostages, and hopefully demilitarization of Gaza.
Right. Recently, the hostages, and this plan does call for a sort of multi-stage type of release that we've seen in the past. It would be all 48 released right at the beginning, with Israel certainly welcome, but there would be a price for it, the freeing of Palestinian prisoners, many who have been arrested since the start of the operation, immunity for Hamas leaders in the Gaza Strip, many of them who took part in the October 7th massacre. This would be a very bitter pill for the Israeli public to swallow.
For the Israeli public, for the Israeli government, but I think the Israeli public, after 2 years of war and after hitting Hamas so dramatically, I mean, in terms of their commanders and so on, and weaponry and so on, I think the Israeli public is ready for some kind of compromise. The question whether this government is ready for some kind of compromise, but I don't see any other avenue forward, and I think the pressure for Trump this time, my feeling, would be mounting. There would be no issue. I mean, the way he went on publicly before. It's part of the pressure that he exerts on Netanyahu. It's very interesting to see Netanyahu in this meeting today. How does he maneuver?
Right. And of course, we should note the military operation does go on in Gaza City. The IDF making advances, no question about it. We have to assume in the meantime, though, the IDF will continue to operate in the Gaza Strip. Even, as you said, it's going to take time to work out the details. How do you see that going forward for the IDF?
Yeah, the question, what does it mean to operate? Whether it's this full-scale, massive attack on the Gaza City, or whether, in some sense, we'll stop and do only raids to concrete objective, the way we have it in Lebanon, where there was an agreement. But then we do continue from time to target either weapon ricochet or leaders. So the question whether there will be this phase, but the question whether we can continue with this full-scale attack, I suspect Trump would want to stall this attack in this fashion, and then think what would be what kind of precaution, security, operation the IDF can still conduct in this context going forward, if there is an agreement, of course.
Right, and maybe the major point is, again, also which includes not just allowing the Palestinian Authority into some kind of governance in Gaza eventually, but the renewal of talks for a political horizon, a euphemism for a Palestinian state. Prime Minister Netanyahu made clear at the United Nations this is a no-go for him, and he said for the majority of the Israeli people, the plan doesn't specifically mention a Palestinian state. Is there enough diplomatic wiggle room in there for Prime Minister Netanyahu in any government coalition to go to
This
move?
is interesting. We should think that this is a demilitarized Palestinian state, only with police force. So it's not that far from what Israel was subscribing to, which was an autonomy. So the question is, there is an interval here that you can maneuver either semantically, but other in terms of the facts on the ground. But my feeling, it's a new circumstances. In many respects, the move that Macron made, in the beginning, people would think he will find himself alone in this maneuver, but then he finds himself with the British that are the British of the Balfour Accord. So I'm not sure Trump even Trump understands that you have to go forward. So I'm not saying that Palestinian state as an end game is there, but whether we go forward in some way and restart the talks and the negotiation with the Palestinian Authority, with this reformed Palestinian Authority. So the main issue is not to declare Palestinian state no time soon, but
and
whether...
it certainly won't happen
of course,
soon
but whether the Palestinian Authority is the side that you conduct this negotiation for. Because for the last few years, we didn't consider the Palestinian Authority as our partner to some negotiation. But if they are not, don't forget, because the security cooperation does exist even in those days. So, but if it does not, if we don't bring the Palestinian Authority back as a negotiating partner to some kind of a future, then we might find ourselves collapsing the security collaboration in the West Bank, and then this would be resetting the story backward to a very problematic situation.
Right, so hard to see Prime Minister Netanyahu taking that path. But of course, the benefits, the upside for Israel would be perhaps expanding the Abraham Accords, bringing even Syria, which we are talking about. Maybe talk about what the real potential there. When would that happen? When do you think, and how likely?
The potential is immense, but we should not lose the train, because we see moves in the Gulf states that we didn't see before. For example, this deal between this nuclear umbrella between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. This is a major thing that we didn't see before. We see the attempts of the Russians to allocate a budget of like $25 billion to create nuclear reactors in Iran. So if we really want to create this path along the IMEC, along this India, Middle East, Europe corridor, when Israel is a cornerstone of this deal, we have to move fast. And what prevents us to move forward in this direction, which is important to the Gulf states, to Israel, to Europe, to the US, is, of course, the war in Gaza. And this is why it's important for us to conclude this stage of the war in Gaza.
I do just want to break down one country there, Syria, which seems to be on a different track, and there's reports that Prime Minister Netanyahu could even conceivably meet President al-Shara. How likely, even with the war in Gaza going on, do you see a security arrangement with Syria?
Security arrangement, yes. because he has to stabilize the situation in Syria as the head of the new Syrian state. Of course, no peace. When people talk about peace treaty, this is not in the cards
Right,
now.
certainly the Golan Heights are not on the table at
Never.
any stage.
And this is the only thing.
Wherever.
This is the only thing the Israelis are always united about. The Golan Heights is part of Israel. We never discuss it, or we'll never discuss it. And I think in terms from strategic security consideration, but the security along the 74 arrangement after the Yom Kippur War and reorganizing the relationships according to those security paths in Syria. This is important and very important for us, and I think this can be coming.
All right. Well, we definitely have interesting a week and perhaps potentially months, and it really does feel one way or another. This is we've said it before, but it really does feel this is in many ways a turning point. Doron Avital, thank you for joining us on ILTV Security Brief. It has been 80 years since World War II ended, but that conflict continues to grip the public imagination. With new books, movies, and 2 shows chronicling nearly all aspects of that period. But one story from the war is perhaps undertold: the role and contribution of the many Jewish soldiers who took part in the fighting, their battlefield heroism belaying many of the stereotypes about Jews outside Israel that still exist today. One of those men was the Canadian Jewish navigator Mickey Heller, and the story of his and his comrades and what it meant to be a Jew fighting in that war and how they are remembered today is the subject of a new book coming out in November titled Zadie's Band, and written by his grandson, Aaron Heller, a journalist and author, and he joins us now. Aaron, thank you for joining us on ILTV Security Brief.
Thanks, Caleb. It's great to be with you.
Well, tell us, who was Mickey Heller? Who was Zadie?
Well, my grandfather, Zadie, my paternal grandfather, who, when I was in Canada growing up, he was always around and we always knew his story, but he never really discussed it. It was always sort of like this taboo in the background that he was in World War II, but he came back from the war and basically never talked about it. It basically just became sort of like this non-topic. And I've always been curious, as you know me, we've known each other for a long time. And as a journalist, I was always interested in these stories, especially the World War II era ones. I made it sort of my career goal to have this beat of the Holocaust and World War II. And throughout my career, I've basically written dozens and dozens of stories about the World War II era figures, but I was getting nowhere with my grandfather. And so basically around 2011, right before his 90th birthday, I was like, enough already. I've done so many of these stories. I want to do one about my grandfather himself, and that's where our journey began. And the book basically chronicles the next 10 years of how we tried to go through this and discover what happened to him.
Well, talk a little about that specifically, what he did go through, and maybe the bigger theme involved here, which is the role, as I said, of the Jewish soldiers who fought in that conflict.
Exactly. Well, this started out really sort of as a narrow goal for me. It was really just a personal project to try and figure out his history. But very quickly, I figured out there's something much larger here than just his individual story. When you ask people about the Jewish experience in World War II, naturally, you're going to get just one answer. It's going to be the Holocaust. People are familiar with that story, but they're not familiar with the other side of the story, and that is that there were 1.5 million Jews who served in World War II in the various armies of the Allies. Of those, 250,000 died. And we're talking about people who didn't die in camps, they died on the battlefield. That was the majority of them were from the Red Army, from the Soviet Red Army, and from the American Army as well. But you've got Canada, you've got Australia, you've got England, you've got New Zealand, you've got from every single place, in every single battle that took place in World War II, there were Jews there. And not only that there were Jews there, but they were there in a higher number than the overall population was. In Canada, for example, was 10% of the population. And that's including the whole population. So when you take into consideration, we're talking about military-aged men, it was about 40%. So it's this huge turnout. And what I discover in the book also, what I go into there, is that these are people who had dual motivations. They wanted to be patriotic citizens of their country. They wanted to prove their loyalty. And they also, of course, want to save their brethren in Europe. And to be able to do that, when I spoke to my grandfather, one of the few things he told me, and something that was echoed in many other veterans I spoke to, when I said, what was your motivation? And they said, we wanted to get even with Hitler.
And briefly, why do you think there is still some of these stereotypes, and certainly I would say they veer into anti-Semitic troops, that Jews, diaspora Jews, didn't want to fight in the war or in general in wars?
Well, there's a lot of different angles to look at it. First of all, part of it is the fact that it's just an unknown part of the story. Obviously, the victimhood of Jews during World War II is the prevailing theme. That's something we're all familiar with. That's the story that's told. It's just a story that hasn't been told. Another one is that, when Israel came into being in 1948, the focus was on telling a different kind of story. It was about those who were connected to Israel. And that's another part of the book that I get into, which is that not only were these fighters in World War II so instrumental in that battle, but they were hugely influential in Israel's establishment in 1948. So many of them used that experience to come over to Israel, volunteer as foreign volunteers called Machal, which is an acronym in Hebrew for the foreign volunteers. And that is also a story that's not known in Israel because it doesn't really align with what was the default, narrative of early Zionism. But make no mistake about it, these World War II veterans, these Jewish veterans, and also many non-Jews, they were instrumental in establishing Israel. And even as foreign authority as Yitzhak Rabin and Ben-Gurion have said that there's a chance that without them, we wouldn't have won the war and there wouldn't have been Israel. So this is a huge story that I feel has been underreported and underrepresented for a very long time.
All right. Well, the book, their story, at least part of it told in Zadie's Band, the new book by Aaron Heller, now available for order from Amazon and, of course, other sites. And Aaron Heller, thank you for joining us on ILTV Security Brief.
Thank you, Cliff.
And now a final word. This month marks the 11th anniversary of the Yemen civil war after the Iran-backed Houthi rebels seized the capital, Sana'a. The toll of this conflict has been devastating. Over 500,000 killed in little more than a decade. Many in the fighting, but tens of thousands also from starvation and a cholera epidemic, and over 4 million displaced from their homes. And the tragedy continues. Just this week, relief groups called on the world to boost aid and take action to prevent the situation there from deteriorating further. Yemen is the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Yet it receives only a fraction of the attention from governments, media, and the public given to the Gaza conflict. There are no protests over the Yemen disaster, no high-profile conferences addressing the situation, no nonstop media coverage of the suffering of a Yemeni people whose problems the world has deemed as not worthy of the attention it lavishes on the Palestinians. But the one country that has stayed engaged with the Yemen issue, unfortunately, is Israel, having to respond to the continual missile and drone attacks launched by the Houthis, such as this week's drone strike on Eilat. They have carried out these attacks, though, not only against Israel, but have continued their harassment of international shipping in and around the Red Sea, attacking freighters with no connection to Israel, despite their claim otherwise. It has become clear that the supposed agreement announced last May by the Trump administration that halted U.S. airstrikes on Yemen in return to a stop on attacks against American ships, or the half-hearted naval action taken by a coalition of European nations to protect freight vessels in the Red Sea, has done little to deter the Houthis from their provocative actions. Now, Israel has shown that its Air Force and Navy can deliver powerful blows against the Houthi regime, including last week's strikes on their military headquarters and other targets in Sana'a. But with Israel and Yemen separated by a distance of over 2,000 kilometers and facing an enemy utterly indifferent to the human suffering of its fellow countrymen, there is a limit to even the IDF's capability in retaliating against and deterring the Houthi attacks. And in truth, this is a threat which should be dealt with first and foremost by the international community, especially by the U.S. and Europe. The right of free passage by ships in international waters is one of the pillars of the global legal and economic order, and one that the Houthis have brazenly violated time and again. Much greater military pressure must be brought against not only the Houthis, but also an Iranian regime that continues to support and arm the Houthis. And this should be accompanied by more extensive media coverage of the dire humanitarian situation the Houthis have created in Yemen and a greater global outcry against the crisis being almost criminally ignored. So perhaps instead of sending warships to accompany a performative aid flotilla heading to Gaza, nations such as Spain and Italy and their European brethren would make better use of their navies by sending them back to the Red Sea to protect those ships being attacked on an almost weekly basis by the Houthis. And Israel should no longer have to stand alone against a rogue regime whose defiance of international norms without facing the appropriate consequence will only encourage itself and other bad actors to take even worse provocations in the future. Thank you for joining ILTV Security Brief.
Now, Chimes Israel is one of the country's leading nonprofits supporting children and adults with disabilities, running 26 programs for more than 1,400 families across all communities. During the recent war, their staff risked their lives to bring therapy, food, and critical care to vulnerable children in Ashkelon. Joining us now is Pamela Azaria, International Resources Director from Chimes Israel, here to share how they're responding and why a new fortified center is urgently needed. Thank you for being here, Pamela.
Thank you so much for having me, Sivan. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. For viewers who don't know, Pamela, what is Chimes Israel?
Chimes Israel is a nonprofit in Israel. We've been around for 34 years. We help people with disabilities. We pioneered the early childhood model. We're known for innovation, and this model provides therapy, diagnosis, childcare, and parental guidance all under one roof. We serve 1,400 people across Israel, and their children from ages 6 months to adults, to elderly adults. We also serve everyone, anyone who needs our services, Jews, Christians, Muslims, religious, secular, anyone who needs us, we're there to help. And our mission is simple. It's to foster dignity, inclusion, independence, and quality of life for people with disabilities.
Now tell me, what happened in Ashkelon during the war, and how did Chimes respond to that?
So, as you know, Ashkelon is about 6 miles from Gaza, and when there's a siren alerting of a rocket or a missile, people have only 30 seconds to reach shelter. So our centers were closed after October 7th, and like everyone else, our families were sheltering in the safe room because there were more rockets in Ashkelon than any other city in Israel. Our staff kept in daily contact with our families, and they found out that they were running out of essentials. Many of the moms were parenting alone because the fathers were called up to defend the country. And so when we saw that it wasn't going to end soon, we started an emergency fund. We brought food, medicine, diapers, therapeutic equipment, everything they need, also iPads, so we could have remote learning, and staff resilience training for our staff. Most amazingly, because our families and our children could not come to our centers, we brought our centers to them. Our staff braved the rockets to come to each family's house once a week to provide therapy and relief for the parents. And what we realized was our situation is vulnerable. Our current centers are not protected against missile fire, and we need to build a new fortified early childhood center so that our children get the protection they need in times of conflict.
So important. Now, just really briefly, what's your message to our viewers?
So my message is, this is a tough time right now. We can't stop the war. We can't help free the hostages. We can't stop this crazy anti-Semitism that's happening worldwide. But we can help these children to build a center that will give them the services, the therapy, in a safe environment, the environment they need to thrive, and they deserve it.
Absolutely. Pamela Azaria, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
עוד יותר, כן, עוד יותר, עוד יותר, כן. מזל טוב.
אתה הכי טוב. עוד יותר טוב.
אלבר, רק את הטוב! ועוד הנפקה מוצלחת לחברת ההייטק הישראלית.
אולי תהיה יותר טוב, משה.
גבירותיי ורבותיי, נחתנו זה עתה בנמל התעופה בן גוריון. ברוכים הבאים לישראל.
Israel is strong and growing. Now, more than ever, is the time to make Aliyah.
Hello and welcome to the ILTV podcast. I'm Ayan Hoffman, executive editor of ILTV, and I'm so happy to have back our viewers and our listeners. Now I have with me today a very interesting guest, an author of a book called Israel Valley. His name is Edward Kukerman. He is a veteran venture capitalist and the founder of Catalyst Investments. Edward, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Of course. Now, your book, Israel Valley, just came out at a very pivotal moment in English just in the last few months, almost 2 years into the war that started on October 7th. Yeah. Why did you feel that this was the right time to publish it in English?
I mean, the book was published initially in French and published in Chinese and other languages, but due to the war, a lot of things have happened in the last 2 years, especially in the, obviously, the war had an impact on the economy, it had an impact also on many civilians that have been involved in the war, directly or indirectly. The high-tech companies have been affected, and also the image of Israel has been affected. We saw also during that war how important the technology is, but also what are the limitations of technology during October 7. So we felt that it's a good timing to refresh the book, completely re-edit it. We had done that with the two co-writers, Ron Valman, who is American, who joined us to really refresh the book, and also Professor Daniel Roach, that has been writing with me for many years. And we've done a common work to really show a new angle to what's going on in the high-tech industry today.
And, you talk about Israeli innovation as what you said called a technology shield. Explain to me that metaphor.
The technology shield has been seen very clearly during this war with the Iron Dome system. We saw that without the Iron Dome, we probably would have not faced the threat from Iran, from the Hezbollah, and even not from the Hamas. And this impact of the idea of the Iron Dome was really, I think, just an illustration of Israeli technology capabilities. We see that there are also, in this field of the Iron Dome, new disruptive technologies like the Iron Beam that will also change the way Israel will defend itself in the future. But the technology applied to the military application is not the only issue. Obviously, the high-tech industry had an impact on the Israeli economy. So it's another kind of shield, because I think that without the high-tech industry, the Israeli economy would be very weak. It has been the growth engine of the economy for many, many decades.
It's more than 50% of the GDP, or close to 50%?
It has probably, the high-tech company has a smaller impact, but the indirect impact is huge. You have also business tourism. You have a lot of real estate projects that are related to the success of the high-tech technology and the entrepreneur that hired so many people in the industry. So it has an impact on almost every aspect of the industry. Today, the vast majority of the export is high-tech product, and the rest is technology related to agro-tech or military technology, which are considered low-tech. But I would say that almost 100% of the export of Israel today is technology related. So that's another aspect, the economy, but obviously it helped also integrating immigration for many, many decades. We had 1 million immigrants that came from the former Soviet Union. Obviously the fact that 37% came with an engineering degree, unable to integrate them into the high-tech industry, but also to boost the high-tech industry. I think that without this population, we would not have the type of growth we had in the high-tech industry in the year 2000 and 2010. So that's obviously had a major impact, and we see that in so many aspects. So we address all those aspects that also in terms of academy, the universities, a big portion of the financing of the university is the licensing of the company developed at the university and the link between the high-tech industry and those universities. So we see that in so many aspects that we think that we had to give a different angle. We came also with Professor Daniel Roche with a more academic angle, Ron with an American angle, and I came with more venture capital experience and investment banking experience.
Of course, and you're also from France. So, tell me a little bit about that French integration. Is that also played a role in the high-tech industry? Where the French community fit into all of this?
The French community is today, I would say, the immigration from France is more important than ever. Also because of the crisis going on in France with anti-Semitism. My father was for many years the head of the Jewish community in France, and he had been facing this challenge of anti-Semitism in France that has been growing in the last years. But the French immigration has an impact, but not a major impact. Obviously, the funding of the high-tech companies came mostly from the U.S. Right. We have been seeing the direct funding and direct investment by corporation and by investors into the high-tech company, and indirect through the venture capital industry. Mm-hmm. When I started my first venture fund in 1993, we were 3 venture funds. Now we are 400 venture funds.
Wow.
So the industry has grown a lot, and most of the funding came from the US. So I would say that the impact from France was, in that sense, more limited.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned the Iron Beam as the next, generation of the Iron Dome. So tell me a little bit about that. And also, I understand that your investment company has been somewhat involved in the development of this great technology.
We have followed a company called Sivan, which has developed the laser technology, which was the key technology to deploy the Iron Beam. Mm-hmm. And this technology has been, for 18 years, the company, when they started speaking about it, looked like Star Wars. But
right.
Now they have managed to integrate that into the Iron Dome system, and it was really very efficient during the conflict, especially against drones, but also against missiles. So we think that the main difference of the Iron Beam is that instead of firing a missile that cost $100,000 to stop a rocket or to stop a drone that cost tens of dollars, which is, it doesn't make sense in terms of the economic.
The cost of lives, of course.
Yeah, but the economic impact is very heavy on Israel. So if you do the same job, even better, using a laser technology, which is really the cost of energy, it costs $2 to $5 every time you use it. And it's done in real time at the speed of light. So that's much more efficient, and that's, I think, the solution for the future for many of the threats that are coming from our neighboring countries.
Unless the Trump peace plan goes through and we no longer have rockets running into Israel, right? But let's hold our breath, right?
As we say in the
exactly,
region. Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to ask you about Israel's innovation system in comparison to, let's say, the American one in Silicon Valley. How can you compare and contrast those two innovation systems?
So when we describe in the book the key factors, we identify 7 factors, and some of them are similar, but some of them are really different. Obviously, the impact of the military experience that many of the young soldiers have at a very young age, where they use state-of-the-art technology tools and they have many responsibility at a very young age, is something that is very special. Also, the application of this military technology applied to civilian application, I think it's also something that is very unique. For example, we're the only venture fund that invested in Mobileye. Mobileye is a company that was eventually sold to Intel for $15.3 billion. So this is technology enabled to avoid car collision. And when we invested, there were a lot of competitors that were able to identify the red light, the white line, but they were not able to identify the pedestrian. So at Mobileye, you had a lot of engineers coming most of them from 8-200, that were able to divert a missile in real time when suddenly there is, for example, a person coming in and they need to neutralize a missile at the speed of a missile. So if you're able to do that, you're obviously able to do it at the speed of a car. So in order to avoid car collision, Mobileye came with this solution. I think there is also, in my view, it's the first AI technology company that made a major exit, and it's also the first auto tech company in Israel that made an exit. So I think for us it was an amazing adventure, but it's just an illustration on how military technology can sometimes be used to apply it for the benefit of the civilian.
Do you think that the military is the major driver of our innovation, just the fact that we have such a difficult security situation?
It's not that the venture industry invests much more funding than what even the army is investing. I mean, there are maybe some specific field where the army is still investing a lot of money. But the thing is that the people coming from the army at a very young age gain so much experience, and that they are also, there is a word in Hebrew, tachles, they have to develop in a real short period of time. They have responsibility over soldiers, so they gain the type of experience that in other society you won't gain until you have a much more advanced age. So I think that's one element. Obviously, the fact that we're a melting pot with people coming from all over the world is very special, even though in California you have a lot of immigrants. Mm-hmm. But the Jewish culture is very special. For example, here we are, this issue of resilience. You see that today. It has also an impact on the attitude of the entrepreneurs. There is also the Jewish tradition where the concept of tikkun olam, how to improve the world. When we invest in biotech company or medtech company, the people we invest in, they don't come to us and say, we want to become a unicorn. They typically say, we have developed a technology that can do a major change for people suffering from Alzheimer or from cancer. Or
they
from
want to save the world.
So they want to improve the life of the people. And that's what brings them to create their own company. So I think it's very special in the Jewish culture. Also the concept of Passover when people want freedom. And I think that's also part of the startup nation culture. So there is element which is linked to the Jewish identity, which I believe as differentiate ourselves to maybe different high-tech ecosystems.
Which is so beautiful. I mean, you yourself have invested billions and done many cross-border deals, but I'm wondering, after October 7th, has this shifted? Are you seeing that people are less inclined to want to invest in Israel?
Yes, unfortunately, it is the case. We see that even today in the numbers. I've been seeing the crisis of 2000, 2008, where we had a drop in terms of investment in the venture industry and investing in high-tech companies. But it was for a short period of time. Now we are 2 years afterwards and we see the impact. There is the impact through the venture funds. For example, the amount raised by the venture funds in these last 12 months is about 80% less than the year 2021. So obviously 2021 was a peak, but it has a long-term impact because today we still enjoy some of the funding available from the fund that were raised in 2021 because we deployed the money over 4 or 5 years. Right. Now, what will happen in the coming 2 or 3 years? Also, there will be, it will be challenging, not only this year, but probably next year for the investors to invest in Israeli funds because also there is a certain image, there is uncertainty. Hopefully an agreement will be reached, but still investors don't like uncertainty. So we will face, I believe, a crisis for a longer period of time. And by the way, this is why we created a platform called Catalyst Investors Club, which enable private investors from all over the world to invest directly in companies that were backed by venture funds. So the idea is to enable a private investor that is an accredited investor that understands the risk to cherry pick the companies he like. We show currently above 300 videos. We created this video, most of them using AI capabilities, and we show them different opportunity in different sectors. And they can cherry pick the one that they like and co-invest together with leading funds. This is helping funds to get more funding to support their portfolio companies.
But you do mention in the book something that you call cracks in the shield. I mean, what is a crack in the shield, and what are the cracks that concern you the most?
So one crack is related to the point I just made regarding the fact that there is less funding. The importance of the venture and the high-tech industry is so in the economy is such that we cannot afford to support the economy without this high-tech industry continue to without seeing us developing this industry over time. And this funding, when it's blocked, what will be the impact? That's a big challenge. The other challenge we see, if we speak about cracks, for example, the Muslim community has been successfully integrated in the ecosystem, mostly in the medical field. But the poorest population today in Israel is the Hasidic community, is the Orthodox community. And it's up to now, it has been very hard to integrate them into the high-tech ecosystem. We invest in a fund that is dedicated to support the Hasidic entrepreneurship, but it's very limited. And they need really to have a basic understanding on the mathematics, computer science, and start learning that in order to contribute. They have a lot of skills. They can do it. But right now, the leaders of the rabbinic community, the Orthodox community, is very reluctant to enable this community to integrate the Israeli high-tech ecosystem.
Do you think, piggybacking on that in terms of cracks, that the reliance on the defense industry to be able to develop these technologies is hindering our development in other areas, like let's call it climate tech, for example, or other areas? And as the world shifts and potentially, God willing, again, we'll say peace one day, we won't need as much defense tech. Will we not be working in the fields that become most important to the world?
I think the climate tech is challenged not because of what's going on in Israel, but in general with the speech of Trump in the UN. I think he made his point very clear. So it's hard for people to invest in long-term, renewable, for example, energy infrastructure, while the government doesn't support that. That's a big issue. I think that regarding Israel, you can see in the latest statistic that the bulk of the funding has been done in cybersecurity, in defense tech, and in AI. Right. And the other sector have been affected. But, because we've been investing for 32 years, we see there is always, more fashionable technology. We've seen that it's coming back and forth. So right now, those are the three technology that the investors are coming in. That's where you see probably the most, the highest number of exit. You saw with Wiz. That was sold for, I think, $32 billion. So the cyber is very appealing. And the defense, obviously, the increase of the allocation of the European nation to invest more in defense has also an impact. The other concern that I have is also the fact that some countries, especially in Europe, are reluctant today to buy defense tech technology from Israel. And they may be also reluctant to buy European Israeli technology in other sectors. So that's also something we have to understand. So the consequences of the war on the long term. And that's something that we don't know how much time it will take to come back to what we had before the war.
And thinking of long-term consequences of the war, one of the things that I've been reading a lot about is this mental health technology or trauma tech. The idea that we're going to have maybe 3 million Israelis that are suffering from some kind of symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression. So we're going to need to be able to serve those people and don't have the capability in terms of the manpower to do so. And so technologies are popping up, which actually could be very relevant in Ukraine, in the United States, where there's a lot of this as well. Do you think that that's going to be a new field for Israel?
Fortunately, we have a lot of experience in, these people that are wounded and hurt, not only psychologically but physically by the war. So there are some companies that did well in developing medical device for people that was wounded during the war. And it's more problematic, I believe, when we speak about people that are suffering from trauma, because the business model depends very much on the government. The government have very little resources right now, and they don't put enough resources to face this challenge. So, medical device and biotech company has managed to raise funding because there is a huge international potential, and the bulk of the market is obviously not in Israel.
Right.
But I think that it's in general more difficult right now to raise money for medical technology, for healthcare. We're doing a lot of effort. Our investment bank, we have 12 people raising money for many biotech and medtech companies, but the period is more challenging for that industry.
It's interesting. And you mentioned the Haredim or the ultra-Orthodox. I mean, obviously there were also issues in the country with judicial reform, other social cohesion issues that have gone on in Israel. When the world looks at those as well, does that have deterrence the same way, the October 7th ongoing war has had on Israel?
I didn't understand
the
that.
social cohesion issues, when they are exported to the world, you watched before the war started, all of these judicial reform protests, or you see some of these other challenges we're facing internally that then export themselves sort of in the news to the world. Do those also hinder investments?
Yeah, it was before October 7th.
Right, of course.
Obviously. Today, there is more cohesion and more, the people are, I see people from different political views that are serving in the army. We are really in the survival mode. So the attitude is very different. And I don't think that it doesn't matter from which political party you are. I think that almost all the Israeli population was supportive of what happened, what are the steps that were taken regarding Iran, regarding the Hezbollah. And if at the end of the day we have the release of the hostages in Gaza, I think that there is much more cohesion than any time before. So I think this problem was a big issue before October 7th. It's less of an issue today.
Fascinating. And, in terms of the international image of Israel, do you think that the technology, the things you're talking about, for example, in your book, the incredible innovation could be part of our hasbara? And if so, how could we more effectively use the technology rather than looking for the investments, but to improve Israel's image?
Yeah. It's a good point. I think the high-tech is a message that is of interest for any population in the world. When you disrupt an industry, you come with a solution that is to help people that are facing cancer or diabetes. We invest in a company, Cure Life, focusing on fighting people that have diabetes problem. We are in a situation where we address that to everyone. I was spokesperson of the army for many years. I was also quite a lot in the news in Europe, speaking about the situation. It's always challenging when we speak about the military action. And when you speak about the high-tech industry, my first fund went public at the time in Europe, and I was presenting in 1997 already the high-tech industry to the European investor community. They were more intrigued, more interested to learn about it. The political issue is put aside, and I think it's a very good way to present Israel.
Yeah, so hopefully, through the book and through other ways, we'll be able to do it more. Now, you've been in the space for 35 years already. And
32, yeah.
32, almost 35
okay.
years, okay. So, modest. Tell me, do you think the DNA, though, of the Israeli entrepreneur has changed over those 30 years, from what we were when the kind of concept of the startup nation and the young entrepreneur was to where we are today?
It has changed a lot. First, one of the challenges the entrepreneur have today is that in order for an Israeli entrepreneur to do an exit, he needs to reach a critical size of $100 or $200 million sales per year. In the past, you could go public at a $100 million valuation a few years after you created the company. And that's why we call it the startup nation, because we're good at creating startups. Today, if you want to be successful, you need to create an international operation to have critical size, have sales all over the world. So you need different skill set than what you needed many years ago. That's also why today the statistics shows that from the day you created your company till the exit above $200 million, you have to wait for 18 years. So it's more challenging. It's a long time. And that's also why we shifted our investment strategy at Catalyst from early stage to investment in more mature companies and pre-IPO companies, because we know we cannot afford to wait 18 years to make an exit. So that's why the profile of the company is evolving, and the profile of the entrepreneurs that support the company until the exit is different. But I think that one thing that also impacted is a war. We have to today, because it's harder to raise money, we have to show very fast that the business model of those startups, it's a profitable business model, and it's not only R&D center, and people want to see results, and they are very cautious about their investments today. The valuation is more linked to how fast a company can be profitable than just having, as we used to have, a company that was ready to go for a long way but burning a lot of cash. So there's a lot of elements have changed that impact the way the founders and the managers have to operate.
So are there different staff members as well? Like they have to recruit not just engineers, I'm assuming then, but businessmen, marketers?
Exactly. One other aspect in the war is that many of the companies decide to establish their headquarters overseas. You see that before the war, only 25% of the Israeli startups were established overseas. Today, we're at 45%.
Oh, wow. Just in the last 2 years, it's grown that much.
So it's a big change. And it's obviously easier to recruit people that have marketing experience. They know how to go to the market when they are overseas, rather than hiring them in Israel or bringing talents from overseas to Israel. So we see this trend, unfortunately, that many of the Israeli entrepreneurs decide to establish their operation first overseas and not necessarily in Israel anymore.
And I guess that would be why we see in the Israel Innovation Authority the reports that we're seeing less hiring going on in the high-tech sector in Israel.
Yes.
I'm assuming it connects
and
to
that's
that.
even before you see the impact of the real impact of the war and the impact of AI within many companies that will not need so many engineers, software engineers, as they needed to have before.
Oh, wow. So now in the book, do you offer some of these tips to the more international companies? Like, in other words, this is about Israel, but are any of the lessons applicable for companies that are not Israeli?
Yes, I think our experience, for example, in venture capital is obviously very unique, because Israel is a small country, but it's a huge ecosystem in the high-tech industry. For example, there are more unicorns in Israel, about 100, than the number of unicorns all over the EU put together.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Israel has a great experience. When we published a book in Italy, at the time, there were about $10 billion invested in the high-tech industry the same year, while there were 300 million euro invested in the Italian market. So the allocation, the expertise, there is field of expertise where Israel has a unique positioning, especially in relation to cyber and biotech, and where, for example, 7 of the leading drugs in the world were developed at the Weizmann Institute. Oh, so Israel is appreciated, and we have gained a lot of experience. Obviously, the American is the first market, the leading market, but for example, we see a lot of interest from European companies, of even Asian companies. We have raised quite a lot of money from Asia in the past, and we think that this is something that will continue over time.
So we're going to run out of time, and I just want to ask you one final question. You know, this podcast is about 30 minutes long. People will remember some things, other things they'll forget. But if you had to give one final headline to describe the book, the takeaway that you really want people to have about Israel Valley and the Israeli ecosystem, what would it be?
I think Israel has developed so many great technologies in so many fields over the time. Even though it's a challenging period, it's also a period of opportunity. I think it was Ross Perot that said, when there is a crisis, there is an opportunity. So it's a good opportunity for international investors, especially investors from the US, to look at opportunities today in Israel. The value of those companies are cheaper. We offer them with this Catalyst Investors Club platform the opportunity to cherry pick the company they want to back. So I think that when there is a crisis like that, it's also the time to look at opportunity in that market.
So from crisis comes opportunity. Well, Edward, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And on October 16th, ILTV News and the Jewish Agency for Israel will mark 2 years since the October 7th massacre with a powerful 90-minute broadcast. This special event will share survivor testimonies, stories of resilience, and the unity of Jewish communities worldwide. Join us as we honor the victims, support the families, and stand together for Israel's future. Scan the QR code now to sign up and be part of this meaningful program.
On Rosh Hashanah, every bite of apple and honey holds a quiet prayer. May this year be better. May it be sweeter. But the blessing of sweetness stands on the edge of disappearing. Bee populations are collapsing from habitat loss and disease, taking with them something more than honey, a promise to future generations. Technion researchers are harnessing the power of science, racing to save our world's tiniest heroes before it's too late. They're creating AI-powered hives that protect and heal, and robotic bees that lend a helping wing. L'dor v'dor, from generation to generation, means caring for every link in the chain, keeping the sweetness of this holiday alive. Because tradition isn't just about the past, it's about the future we have the courage to create.
Hey everyone, we know how hard it can be to keep up with the latest news in Israel. So if you haven't had the time to stay on top of what's what in the Holy Land, we're here for you. I'm Ladar Gavelazi, and this is ILTV's Weekly Review.
Israel sharply escalated its military campaign in Gaza City this weekend, launching a fresh wave of attacks under Operation Gideon's Chariots 2. The mass evacuation of Gaza City is continuing, with Hamas officials confirming that nearly half the population has fled to humanitarian zones in the south. More from ILTV's Devo Klein.
The IDF says it struck around 100 terror targets in the past 24 hours alone, including tunnel shafts, weapons depots, command centers, and active Hamas terror cells. The assault is being led by multiple divisions across the Strip. In Gaza City, Division 98 continues to destroy booby-trap buildings, firing positions, and underground infrastructure, while eliminating Hamas fighters above ground. Simultaneously, Division 162 is active in Jabalia, coordinating with Air Force strikes to take out armed fighters engaging IDF units. In the north, Division 99 is targeting terror infrastructure both above and below ground, including hidden shafts used to move weapons and personnel. And in the south, near Khan Yunis and Rafah, the Gaza Division, also known as Division 143, continues to fight street by street, destroying Hamas positions and eliminating fighters. The IDF says the mission remains focused, eradicating Hamas's military wing, securing Israeli borders, and bringing home the hostages. The mass exodus of civilians in Gaza City is continuing. According to both Israel and Hamas-run civil defense, approximately 450,000 to 480,000 Palestinians have fled Gaza City in recent weeks. Israel says this mass exodus proves its warnings to civilians have been heard, despite Hamas allegedly blocking many from escaping the active war zone.
U.S. President Donald Trump is backing Israel's latest expansion into Gaza City and continues to instruct the U.S. ambassador to veto anti-Israel resolutions on the war in Gaza. Trump has also said yet again that fewer than 20 Israeli hostages remain alive. More in the following report. U.S. President Donald Trump says IDF operations in Gaza could help free hostages still held by Hamas. But speaking from the Oval Office, Trump claimed once again that fewer than 20 hostages remain alive.
We're down to 20, and we have 32 dead people. You know that. We have 32, maybe more, 38, but between 32 and 38 people that were dead, mostly young people.
Israeli intelligence estimate as many as 20 of the 48 hostages remaining are still alive, while hostage families fear the intense fighting may cost their loved ones' lives. Trump also pushed back hard against a UN report accusing Israel of genocide, and yet called October 7th a genocide at its highest level.
The UN concluded this week that Israel committed genocide in Gaza. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't seen that. I'm looking at it, but did anybody commit genocide on October 7th? What do you think about that? That was genocide at the highest level. That was murder, genocide, you can call it whatever you want, but little babies were chopped in half.
And in Gaza?
Arms were cut off people, heads were cut off people. That's genocide. That's genocide also.
The White House says the president will continue to support Israel's right to defend itself and eliminate the terror infrastructure in Gaza. Turning to the hostage for ceasefire talks, Qatar is demanding an apology from Israel before renewing efforts to restart the hostage for ceasefire talks. Officials say Israel could offer a narrow apology, possibly for the accidental death of a Qatari security officer, instead of asserting liability for targeting Hamas. Without such an apology, Qatar's mediation is on hold, leaving hostage release and peace talks in limbo. Meanwhile, U.S. political support for Israel is continuing in the United Nations. Over the weekend, the U.S. vetoed a draft Security Council resolution that would have demanded an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and that Israel lift all restrictions on aid deliveries to the Palestinian enclave. It received 14 votes in favor. It was the 6th time the U.S. had cast a veto in the Security Council over the nearly 2-year war between Israel and Palestinian terrorists Hamas.
We would like to thank the United States for showing leadership and moral conviction by vetoing this biased resolution.
And a new report by the Times of Israel is saying that President Trump has authorized the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair to gather regional and international partners around a new proposal for post-war Gaza. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian has the details on the report that includes the replacement of Hamas in the enclave. Shosh, what else can you tell us?
Well, Lidar, it's really a fascinating report. It's truly one of the first times we have seen a proposal that has concrete steps of what post-war Gaza could actually look like. The proposal involves setting up a transitional governing power in Gaza after the war ends, which would then eventually be handed over to the Palestinian Authority after it is reformed, according to the Times of Israel. Now, the proposed body is called the Gaza International Transitional Authority and would be established by a UN Security Council resolution. It would be comprised of 7 to 10 members, including Palestinians, senior UN officials, international figures, and proper Muslim representation for regional credibility. There would also be various commissioners to oversee different departments. A civilian police force in Gaza would be established under this proposal, in addition to disarmament. The report indicates a draft has now been prepared, and its intention is to also help bring an end to this current war. As the Times of Israel reports, the Trump administration concluded from major partners that replacing Hamas is essential for securing a permanent ceasefire and a hostage release deal. The report indicates the transitional period could take several years, but less than a decade. It also says it would eventually hand power over to the Palestinian Authority once it makes significant reforms. Lidar?
Thank you, Shosh, for the report.
Just ahead of the Rosh Hashanah holiday, ILTV's executive editor, Mayan Hoffman, sat down with U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, in his Tel Aviv office. In a wide-ranging interview, Huckabee spoke about annexation, Palestinian leadership, and Israel's future. Let's take a look.
Ambassador Mike Huckabee, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Of course. Now, I want to start out with something unfortunately not so positive. There were these new comments reported by the Wall Street Journal about this tension that is happening between Trump and Netanyahu and increasing frustration. I'm wondering if you have any insight to this. Is this accurate?
I think people need to understand that the relationship between the United States and Israel is as strong as it ever has been. And the relationship between the president and the prime minister is as strong as it's ever been. So let's take off the table that there's this rift or there's a division. It doesn't mean that friends don't at times maybe disagree. I've been married 51 years. My wife and I disagree every now and then. That's normal. It's normal. But you don't break up and go get a divorce because you had a disagreement over something. You work through it. President Trump has spent more time with Prime Minister Netanyahu than any world leader by far on the planet. I think that says everything a person needs to know.
On September 22nd, which is just coming up, there's going to be this whole debate and probably recognition by a number of Western countries of Palestinian statehood. What will be the U.S. position that day? Will the U.S. actively lobby against?
This is a ridiculous idea. It's hurtful. It's detrimental. I think Secretary Rubio has used about every possible combination of words he can, and he's made many calls to our allies and said to them, what are you doing? We are vehemently opposed to this. It is a violation of Oslo. It is an outrageous action that is empowering Hamas and caused negotiations to cease. It ended any talk between Ramallah and Jerusalem. I was involved in those, trying to get this financial impasse resolved. It put that stone cold. And then it's also giving really a sense of, I think, encouragement to Israel to consider declaring sovereignty over parts of Judea and Samaria, because why not? The whole thing is a stunt. It's not going to happen. You can't just unilaterally declare Palestine to be a state. So what they think they're doing, I have no idea, but I know what they are doing, and it's absolutely repugnant to the U.S.
Is that generally the stance, though, of the administration with such an evangelical backing that Judea and Samaria belongs to the Jewish people?
I don't think it's an official policy that has been stated, put into writing. I know we have stated, and this has been something that carries over from the first President Trump term, and that is that it is not illegal for Jews to live in Judea and Samaria. That was something that for some people were, oh my gosh, it's illegal. I'm thinking, why would it be illegal? Brits can move into Judea and Samaria. Nobody says anything. French people can move there. Why can't Jews move there and live there? You know, everybody forgets that, first of all, there was no such thing as a Palestinian state. Yasser Arafat in 1964 created an aspiration for a Palestinian state with the PLO. And then there have been many iterations of proposals and ideas. There was, in fact, the creation of a Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. How did that work out?
And yet most of the world, as we said, is really siding with Hamas. We're seeing all of these massive rallies in the streets and countries getting ready, our allies, to go in to recognize a Palestinian state and give in, as you said, to terrorism. So what makes the U.S. different? Why are the U.S. and Israel such staunch allies even now?
Israel's enemies are our enemies. We understand that. The philosophical underpinning that did October the 7th is what attacked us on 9/11. We're never going to forget that. We're not going to forget that for 46 years, Iran and its proxies, which are Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah, has said that Israel is the little Satan. We're going to annihilate them, and then we're coming after the great Satan, which is, in their mind, the U.S. So Israel has always been the appetizer. The U.S. is the entree. And those of us who have lived through these past 46 years understand that when people keep telling you for 46 consecutive years they're going to kill you, you might want to take them seriously. I would be surprised if the PA would be picked to take over Gaza, because unless they make some serious changes in the way they're governing now, I'm not sure the U.S. could be supportive of that. I'll give you a couple of examples. If they continue the pay for slay, now they say they've changed it, but the fact is they really haven't. It just is now kind of maybe mechanized through a different system of payments. But even this summer, President Abbas has said if there's only one penny left in the Treasury, that last penny will go to the martyrs, which means the terrorists, the people who killed Jews and got paid for it. You can't have a responsible government that pays people to murder.
So then what is the vision for governing Gaza after? Does the U.S. have an idea of who should take over?
There would be a consortium of states, mostly Arab states. There would be a sort of an interim government and eventually move toward autonomy. But right now, I don't think anyone knows, and it's probably premature to get too into how it's going to look, because until all the hostages come out and Hamas surrenders, there is no day after. It's really unfortunate that a lot of people are thinking that this is going on because Israel wants it to go on. Israel wants it to end.
After Israel's attempted attack in Doha, the presidents came out and met immediately with the emir. Rubio traveled over there trying to allay any tension with the country. We know that Qatar is funding terrorism. We know that Qatar is housing terrorists. Why is the U.S. not taking a stance against Qatar?
I think the U.S. puts pressure on Qatar in ways that may not be that public, but we have our largest military base in the Middle East is there. They've done good things with us. They've been a good partner in some things, and other things we could see some improvement. One thing I think President Trump is the best at is recognizing you do what you can as well as you can with people who will work with you, and then you work toward a better relationship.
Lord, now I want to just end with a question about the evangelical Christian community and certainly your longtime support for the state of Israel. The evangelical community in the younger generation we're starting to see is distancing both from the Bible but also from Israel. What are your concerns there, and is there a way to fix that so that in future generations we'll have more leaders like you?
Well, I don't think it's widespread to the point of panic or alarm, but it is happening. And I'm very concerned about it. Some of it is because billions of dollars of Middle East money has poured into colleges and universities to indoctrinate young Christians that Israel's not special, there's nothing all that unique about it. I blame part of it on that and part of it on weak pastors who from their own pulpits are not explaining the biblical basis of support for the Jewish people. But we've got to do a better job of explaining why the relationship is important, how America benefits from it, because there are people in America who foolishly believe, well, we're doing all this stuff for Israel, they're doing nothing for us. And that's not true. We're getting as much as we are giving. It is a two-way partnership that America benefits from, not just Israel.
Wonderful. Well, Ambassador Huckabee, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you. Pleasure to visit with you.
You can watch the complete interview tonight on ILTV's YouTube and Screen IL channels. Be sure to check it out.
And moving on, Syria's President Ahmed al-Shara says that negotiations with Israel on a security pact are advancing rapidly and may bring results in coming days. Israel wants to ensure that southern Syria cannot be used as a launchpad for Iranian-backed militias or other hostile actors. And joining us now with more on the latest developments in Gaza and Syria is General Amir Avivi, founder and CEO of the Israel Defense and Securities Forum. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Hi, Lidar.
So let's start with Gaza. We are on day 3 of this offensive. Can you maybe walk us through the expected timeline for this operation and what Israel hopes to achieve from it?
So we know that Israel is already controlling 75% of the Gaza Strip, and Hamas remains in 2 main strongholds, in the city of Gaza and in the central camps. The city of Gaza is the main stronghold. The brigade of Hamas in Gaza is the strongest brigade. And obviously, dismantling this brigade, destroying it, it's a huge step towards eradicating Hamas as a governmental and military entity. At the moment, the IDF is moving forward slowly, mainly pushing the Gazan society out of the city of Gaza to the south, to the humanitarian zone. We see many airstrikes. We see explosive APCs that dismantle all the booby traps and improvised explosive devices that Hamas has placed in different houses and junctions inside the city, and also bringing down these buildings where they have snipers and observation posts that try to locate the Israeli forces. So there are many things that are done to really secure our soldiers before they start the massive maneuver into Gaza City. At this stage, the IDF is controlling 40% of the city of Gaza, but there is a lot to do still in order to really dismantle Hamas in Gaza City.
Mm-hmm. And what do you make of this report of a sort of concrete plan for Gaza the day after the war? Is it feasible handing over control to the Palestinian Authority and others? Because, you know, as of now, they're continuing with, for example, their pay-for-slay policies and are certainly no partner for peace as it stands now.
As far as I know, the government completely opposes the idea of a Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority took Gaza Strip in 1994 from the Stone Age, literally, to shooting rockets on Israel in 2001. And by 2004, 10 years after Oslo, complete loss of control of the Gaza Strip. And all this is under the Palestinian Authority, who is paying billions to terrorists, inciting. They are not an option. What I see done in Gaza is relying on local clans. We see a clan that is managing Rafah. We see another clan that is managing Sajaiya, and also the IDF is trying to work with a clan in Khan Yunis. So this is where this is going, some kind of cantonization based on local governance of clans, not the Palestinian Authority, not the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and certainly not Hamas. They're all not viable options.
And turning to Syria, I want to ask, right now, what's the situation on the border between Israel and Syria, and what are the current threats to Israel?
So Syria is not really a country. We're dealing with a government that controls maybe 30% of Syria. We have a huge area controlled by the Kurds. We have the Druze near our border. We have the Alawis on the western side. So Syria is not really functioning as a state. And even within Ashara's area of control, there are many different forces, some of them really radical, Al-Qaeda, ISIS-oriented. To me, it's not clear how viable is an agreement with them. I think that in the long term, we'll see Syria moving towards a civil war again. But we have to make sure that all the area south of Damascus is completely demilitarized. We have to make sure that the Druze are secure, that there is no militants that move from the north to the area of the Golan Heights. And the question is, in this agreement, how can the IDF impose this? Just as we are doing in Lebanon. In Lebanon, we have a ceasefire, yet we attack almost on an everyday basis when we see Hezbollah trying to build capabilities again in South Lebanon. And we need the same in Syria. We cannot trust Ashara to really demilitarize all these areas. We need to be able to be proactive and make sure that this really happens on the ground.
Absolutely. General Amir Avivi, thank you so much for joining us today and for your insights.
My pleasure.
And moving on, Israel's new air defense system, the Iron Beam, has successfully completed testing and will be ready for full operational use by the end of the year. This, according to the IDF. The Iron Beam will now join the Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow in intercepting aerial threats. But what makes the Iron Beam exceptional? ILTV's Debo Klein breaks it down.
This is the Iron Beam, Israel's latest development of air defense. Co-developed by Elbit Systems and Rafael, the Iron Beam is a laser-based system built to destroy incoming missiles, rockets, mortars, UAVs, and aircrafts, so any aerial threat can be intercepted by the Iron Beam. The Iron Beam will join Israel's other aerial defense systems, the Iron Dome, the David Sling, and the Chetz. But what makes the Iron Beam stand out as the most effective air defense system? Each interceptor of the Iron Dome for short-range missiles and rockets is estimated to cost the IDF approximately $40,000 to $50,000 per interception, while the Chetz 3, which is geared to intercept missiles outside of Israel's atmosphere, is estimated to cost around $4 to $8 million US, this according to Globes. With Israel close to ending a second year of war against hostile neighbors, Israeli defense spendings have skyrocketed, significantly impacting Israel's economy. But now, with the newly functioning Iron Beam, each interception of the laser system will cost only a few dollars in energy, meaning not only are interception capabilities now significantly better, the IDF also saves tens of thousands of dollars per interception in the process. The Iron Beam has also been dubbed Or Eitan, or in English, Eitan's Beam, this in memory of fallen soldier Eitan Oster, who fell in combat in Lebanon and whose father Dubi Oster helped develop the system.
For more of the latest updates from Israel, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at iltv.tv or download the ILTV Plus app. That's it for ILTV's weekly review. See you next week. And moving on now to another story. As Rosh Hashanah ends, we reflect on new beginnings and fresh starts. And for thousands of women in Israel facing unplanned pregnancies, one organization, Efrat, provides hope, support, and real choices, helping them bring new life into the world with dignity. Joining us now is Neil Salomon, Executive Director of Efrat, to share how the organization is changing lives and how viewers can make a difference. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Neil, for viewers who may not know, what is Efrat's mission and why is it so important?
Efrat's mission is singular. It's to help pregnant women who are being pressured to terminate their pregnancy, usually for financial reasons. We're there to give them pause, to allow them to make a decision void of any external pressures. If it is finances that are hindering their choice, we're there to stand by their side. If they feel having another child is just too burdensome financially, we're there to help them.
Incredible. And so can you tell us a little bit about the people and effort involved in sort of collecting, providing, and delivering support ultimately to these women?
So Efrat's been around for about 47 years. We have volunteers in every single neighborhood of Israel, and that's really where we meet our women. We don't actually bring them in. Our headquarters are in Yerushalayim. We don't actually bring them into Yerushalayim, but from our headquarters go out over 3,500 packages of assistance every single month. To these women that need help, they get whatever they need. So we have volunteers that come and package it, about 8,000 volunteers that come through our warehouse every single year, and they send out the support to these women. At the point where the women live, a volunteer is there to care for her, from being there for her emotionally, helping out with her children, helping out with the home, and making sure she gets everything she needs. What does she need? So what we've discovered, when it's financially driven, the fear of the additional expenses of another child or her first child are very daunting. So we tell the woman, listen, if you're afraid that you can't afford a crib, a carriage, basic supplies for the baby, we'll take care of that. What do you want? You're already pregnant. It's your choice. Don't let those finances hinder you. So we provide a crib, a carriage, a baby bath when the baby's born, and for 24 months after which she gets to her door every single month diapers, baby formula, clothing for the baby as the baby grows up, so that shouldn't be what's holding her under pressure. Being a mother is not so easy. There's other pressures, but that's where we come in.
Amazing. And could you sort of share the scale of Efrat's impact? I mean, how many women and children have you supported over the years?
So to date, we can say that we've supported close to 90,000 women have their children in 47 years. So there are probably hundreds of thousands of Israelis walking around that are a direct impact of Efrat. But for us, every woman is the entire world. Every child that is born there is an entire world. And every woman, it's very important to note, because the political landscape in America around the abortion issue is so complicated. This is about giving women the actual choice. And every woman who needs the assistance of Efrat actually keeps her child. These children are not being put in foster homes. They're not being adopted. These are women who are choosing to have their baby. If they need support, we're there for them. And then they go ahead and they raise their children. So today, close to 90,000 women, 90,000 babies. We're at the rate of over 3,000 children that we are bringing into this world, 3,000 women that we're supporting every single year.
Incredible. And so how can our viewers help Efrat continue sort of giving hope, giving a future to mothers and to their children?
So the easiest way is, first of all, to go into our website, efrat.org or cribefrat.org, either way. And first of all, learn about us, understand the tremendous impact. I just want to share with you one story, just to highlight the impact. During the war, we felt that we had to meet some of the soldiers that are our children, but we didn't know who they were. So at the beginning of the war, we raised funds to give warm jackets to soldiers all throughout Israel, up north and down south. Now, Efrat is not a war-related organization. However, we needed to do something. And at that mission of I myself handed out these jackets, we actually met hundreds of our children who, when they saw the emblem on our car, because the jackets had to not be branded, when they saw the emblem of Efrat, they said, wait a second, you're Efrat. Unfortunately, we're called Efrat from the abortions. That's what they call us. They says, you know, our mother told us that when she was pregnant with us, it was Efrat that saved our lives. In the middle of this whole ordeal, we raised about 10,000 jackets. A certain man calls me up. He's from the south in Israel. And he says, you know, my son needs jackets you have to provide. I said, okay, but why are you being so aggressive? He was very aggressive on the phone. He says, don't you know who my son is? I said, no, I don't know who your son is. He says, you know, I had a store in the Shuk somewhere in the south of Israel, and we had 2 children, and my wife was pregnant with a 3rd, but we couldn't afford. The business wasn't doing well. We could barely feed our children that were alive. How can we now have another child? I told my wife she has to terminate the pregnancy. And out of nowhere, she said, like out of the sky, a woman appeared and said, listen, we know that you're pregnant. Somebody told us that you need help. We're here for you if you want. She said, what do you mean we're here for you if you want? And she just befriended her. If she wouldn't welcome us in, we wouldn't continue that discussion. But he says, you did continue the discussion, and this woman became my wife's best friend, and she wasn't willing to terminate the pregnancy. She really wanted this pregnancy. But I had no idea how I can provide. And I did not believe a word your organization said. You're going to come and provide me a crib, a carriage, 24 months of assistance. No way. You're probably a bunch of crazy liars that all you want is for my wife not to terminate the pregnancy. And that's just not what Efrat is. We want to restore the choice for a woman. If she chooses to terminate, that's her decision. If she chooses she wants to continue and she needs support, then there are organizations that are willing to support her. So says to me this father, you know who my son is? My son is your son. He's alive today because of the assistance that you provided. When I came home from the hospital, he says to me, I was crying. On the one hand, I was happy I had a new boy, but on the other hand, I did not know where to put his head to sleep. And as I drove back to my house, outside was a brand new crib, a brand new carriage, and everything you promised, you provided. Today, he's in the K-9 unit, fighting in the tunnels in Gaza to protect the entire Jewish people. Aren't you going to provide for him jackets? And in that way, we understood that what we did 21 years ago, today is really populating the next new generation. So these women that needed us at that point in time continued. They might have a 4th child and a 5th child. Their lives continue. But when they needed us most, we have to be there for them. So if any of the listeners understand that impact, come onto our website, efrat.org, and understand that here we can truly make a difference. We can help a woman in her need, and we can build another Jewish family in the land of Israel.
Absolutely. Neil Solomon, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Food is the great uniter. A well-cooked meal crosses generational divides, transcends personal differences, and brings people from all walks of life together. Simple, pure ingredients combined and prepared by a deft hand are elevated to an art form that nurtures both body and soul like nothing else can. A beautiful meal is an ancient language understood universally across all eras by all people. On season 1 of Skillet, we celebrated individual creativity, watching the often dramatic and painful process of watching recipes come to life. But this season, we're changing things up. In season 2 of Skillet, our contestants will be tasked with taking signature dishes created by our judges, breaking them down, figuring out their essence, and rebuilding them in their own style while keeping the core identity of the recipe. The stakes are higher, the prizes are bigger, and the competition promises to be even fiercer. I'm your host, Elon Gold, and no, I am not in an episode of Breaking Bad. This is Skillet Cutthroat. Yes, you're watching the only show where you have to wait 6 hours between episodes. So welcome, everyone. This is the Skillet Cutthroat Kitchen. This year, our contestants will be competing for their own barrel of Herzog Special Reserve wine valued at $25,000. Also, a quarter of beef from Marble and Grain. Amazing stuff. That's over 100 pounds of premium cuts valued at over $1,500, and a custom premium skillet cutting board from Avosima. Now, let's meet our contestants.
My name is Daniel Nabadi, born and raised in the Valley and come from a Persian background. I discovered my love of cooking from my mother. I took that passion into culinary school out of high school, kept it as a hobby and a passion till now. My favorite things to cook are traditional Persian foods. We love tacos, we love sushis, whatever the palate is craving that day.
I'm Noah Nathan. I'm originally from London, England. My passion for cooking has probably grown over time. Originally starting cooking when I moved out of home to university. Moved to America, really got exposed to some amazing, wonderful ingredients that really didn't exist in England. California produce is really second to none. Fun fact about me in this competition is I'm actually a vegetarian, but I do cook meat. I won't taste the meat usually. I'm trying to cook the meat almost like a science project.
So my name is Ben Lagnano, and I come from Valley Village, California. Cooking as a passion at home for friends and family. Pasta on the weekdays, barbecue on the weekends. I was diagnosed with colon cancer back in 2019. Fought through chemo, surgery, whatnot, the whole 9 yards. Thank God I'm free of that, free and clear. Surviving every day in this hustle we call LA.
I am Moshe Nafisi. My love of cooking really came from a very early age. Through my teenage years or adulthood, I just fell more and more in love with it, much more with barbecue. And then at this point in my life, really, I'm just trying to be as creative as possible in the kitchen. So last season, I thought I brought my A game, and then I had one too many slices of the mandolin and lost a little bit of my thumb, but everything's good. Coming back to Skillet for redemption, baby.
Look at this. He's alive and well. There he is, Moish. Here, you may want one of these. By the way, this season it's Skillet Cutthroat, not Skillet Cut Thumb. I think he was trying to get onto the show Top Moil. He gave his thumb a bris. It was weird. You saw it. Anyway, let's try to avoid the injuries this time. And good luck to all of you. And now for our judges. From Marble and Grain in Miami. Oh, this is the good stuff, and he's the best guy. Chef Yos is here.
Chef Yos, I've just really seen him on social media, and just knowing the product that he puts out and the level of chef that he is certainly brought a little bit of the nerve factor of oh my God, these guys are at the top of their game. How am I going to impress them?
From Tierra Sur in Oxnard, the one and only Chef Chris. And from La Gondola in Beverly Hills, might I say my personal favorite spot, because he brings me complimentary bacon. It's kosher. Anyway, Chef Neer is here. Yes.
Definitely having Chef Neer there is intimidating to me. It's kind of like having Michael Jordan out there watching you shoot free throws, right? You're not gonna do good.
Now, this year, our judges will be preparing one of their signature dishes for the contestants to replicate. They'll get 10 minutes to try the dish, make their notes, and prepare a shopping list. Once the clock starts, they'll have 1 hour to grab everything they need from the Skillet Pantry, the Marble and Grain Meat Locker, and the Kosher Cook Supply Racks. The great thing about the Kosher Cook utensils is that they all come pre-toiveled. Are you wondering what that means? Just Google it. I don't have time to explain it. Toivel, you're dipping, we like to dip things. Anyway, the winner of the challenge will get 5 minutes at the beginning of the next round before the clock starts to do their shopping and prep ingredients before anyone else. For today's challenge dish, we're going to be bringing in a guest judge, one of the hottest chefs in LA, whose new spot has already garnered a massive following, including me and my kids. Oh my God, are we in love with this place. It's become a staple for Mexican street food, kosher Mexican street food. Chef Lenny from Lenny's Casita.
Chef Lenny here at Lenny's Casita, and we're gonna run you through how we make the carne asada tacos. Beautiful ribeye. You see the marbling, you see the fat content. What we're doing today is a citrus, garlic, onion marinade, okay? Beautiful fresh cilantro. We're gonna use these stems for the marinade. Throw this into the blender. Let's get some onion in there. Rough chop, little garlic, little ajo. Nice, generous amount of salt in here. Pepper, same thing. A little bit of chipotle adobo. This is pure flavor right here. A little bit of spice. Orange juice, freshly squeezed. Lemon juice. And some avocado oil. A splash of white vinegar. Blend it up, blend it up, blend it up. All right, so let's get the meat marinated and work on the salsa. Beautiful onion, julienne, jalapeno. We're gonna cut off the stem. We're gonna leave the seeds in because we do want a little bit of heat. Nice amount of salt, black pepper, dried oregano, fresh lemon juice, a little bit of oil. We're gonna let this marinate too while we grill the steak. There we go, that's what we want to hear. Little tortillas, needs a little bit of fat, okay? Before we put it on the plancha. Let's go, one more flip, and we're good. I'm gonna slice it up, cube it up for the tacos, okay? Tortilla, carne, onion, jalapeno, cilantro. Lenny's Casita carne asada tacos. Simple, but execution has to be perfect. Good luck to all of you.
Come on in, Lenny.
When I see Lenny walking in, it just brings a big smile to my face. Anybody that knows him or has eaten at any of his establishments knows he puts his heart and soul into every dish or every taco that he makes. How am I supposed to try to emulate what this guy puts out?
Lenny, there he is, the man, the legend. He's already a legend. We've been following you, Lenny, for a while, since the beginning. You know, me and my family, we're huge fans of yours. I do have to say, though, for me, it's a little upsetting to go from working with Larry David from Curb to Lenny from Lenny's Casita. But it's a pleasure, and I'm thrilled. Let's meet the judges. Judges, we've got tacos for you. Look at this. Now, I'm counting 4 tacos and 3 judges. So the 4th is me or you?
That's me, baby.
That's not happening.
Wow, Chef Lenny's here. That's crazy.
Contestants, you have 10 minutes to try the dish, make notes, and figure out what you need in your shopping list. This is a very interesting process because what they do is they just taste it and they figure out what ingredients are based on taste because nothing is divulged. Am I right, Chef Lenny?
That's right. It's completely a secret.
So what makes this dish so special?
Carne asada tacos is the most fundamental thing to Mexican cooking. It's beef done the right way, grilled. You gotta get a good sear. The essential parts of the taco, savory, spicy, and acid. All those components are here. You have to be able to construct it the right way and perfectly execute it.
Chef Lenny's a hard worker. He's killing the game. I wish him all the best, but I got this.
All right, thank you, Chef Lenny. And 10 minutes starts now.
I take one big bite and it's just this amazing, tender, great flavor of beef.
They gave me 10 minutes to figure out how he did it, what he did. And I tasted citrus, of course. The meat was soft. Don't really know what kind of meat he used.
It was very balanced. The acid, the salt, the fat.
I take a look at the taco and I'm a little bit overwhelmed. This is a blue taco. Looks like it could be using blue corn. I look in the pantry, I don't see any blue corn tacos there. It kind of overwhelms me to a point.
We are here in our judges' corner. Chefs, dig in, tell us what you think. And again, Lenny, thanks for thinking of me.
I'm loving the tortilla, first of all. I didn't get to the meat yet.
Is it a soft shell or is it a hard shell?
It's a soft shell. Has a little crunch to it. It's like the perfect of both.
Soft with a crunch.
Yeah.
Look
Got
at
the edges
that.
all crispy, and now I'm tasting the meat.
I think it's absolutely delicious. I love your balance with the acid. The acid is definitely kicking it.
So, Chef Lenny, why don't you tell us about how you came up with making your taco so unique and special? How do you come up with ideas for food and ingredients?
The whole idea of casita itself came from realizing that my kitchen was predominantly Mexican. These guys were making family meal, the meal they make for their own staff, was better than the food I was serving in the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, every kitchen, we're training them to make Japanese food or Italian food. Why not let them do what they do best?
That is fascinating.
Once we did it, they were bringing recipes that they had from their mom, from their parents, stuff that they brought back home, and their whole heart was invested in it, and you could taste it in the food. You taste the passion come out, you know?
It looks relatively simple. It's a meat, there's some onion, looks a bit pickled, and a little bit of veggies on top, but not really heavy on the vegetables.
Tortillas definitely felt homemade. I think I'm gonna try that.
Contestants, you have 10 seconds left.
So my heart's pounding, right?
And I'm a little bit overwhelmed.
I grew up with Hispanics and eating tacos my whole life. I got this in the bag.
And tacos down.
Welcome to the home of quality. Design, precision, durability, and creativity, where joy encompasses every moment in the kosher kitchen.
Okay, we're about to start the clock. This is our main event. And once this clock starts, that's it. There's no 18-minute grace period. This isn't Shabbos. This is a TV show, and we take it serious here. Chefs, let me ask you, what are you looking for, though, in our contestants as you watch them go about this 1 hour clock time where they try to replicate the dish? Chef Lenny, what are you looking for?
It's a simple dish, not too complicated. Execution. Perfect execution on all the elements. That's what I'm looking for.
Nice. Chef Chris.
I'm looking for the seasoning on the meat, the seasoning and the marinade and the quality of the meat and which cut of meat they actually choose for their tacos.
Okay, Chef Yost.
The good news is all those choices are amazing beef by Marble and Grain.
Obviously.
I'm looking to see the passion. I want to see them get into it.
You have to put passion into your cooking. Do you hear that, guys? Look at them. I don't see any passion. Anyway, Chef Neer.
Simplicity. I mean, like Chef Lenny said, it is a simple dish. I was gonna say passion too, but honestly, I'm about the salsa.
Nice.
Tacos is street food. They didn't have filet mignon ribeyes. They had simple meat, cheap meat. Season it right, cook it right, and I want flavor, I want seasoning, I want it dancing in my mouth.
Yeah, for me, and I won't say which citrus it was, but it was that hint of whatever that squeeze of. That was fantastic. I hope you guys figured that out. It's really like a choice between 3. All right, contestants, are you ready? This is the big moment we've all been waiting for. The people at home, they're excited, they're nervous for you. We've all cooked something at one point. Take a look at the clock. There is 1 hour on the clock. When I say go, it means go. Are you ready, guys?
Yes. My game plan to attack the taco in 60 minutes really just kind of comes down to a couple of points of like how quickly can I get the marinade going for the meat. Doing that first so it really has a chance to like tenderize the meat and also get some of the flavor from the beautiful chilies that we're working with.
I have to marinate the meat because carne asada I know about has to be marinated in something. And to think about the meat needs to be marinated, I'm going to try to put that in the marinade as early as possible. I'm thinking about what beautiful vegetables I can put on top. Could I take that pickled onion and try to like make other things along that line?
I was leaning more towards like a skirt steak, and I decided to use the rib cap because it's my favorite.
Let's take the meat you want. Let's get something going with the veggies first. That's probably gonna take more time than I know what to do with at the end, and I can't just rush it.
Ready, 1 hour starts now.
This is where it begins, with farm-raised cattle on the rolling fields of American grasslands. Top quality is not just something we say around here, it's what we believe in. That's why we go above and beyond to exceed your culinary expectations by delivering top-tier, restaurant-grade Black Angus beef. Crafted, cut, and packaged under strict supervision. Only the finest cuts make it onto your plate. Explore our carefully curated selection from the comfort of home. Indulge in the art of flavor. Savor each bite, knowing that you've chosen the very best. Marble and Grain.
This is awesome. You literally have a packed pantry full of everything you could want.
My big rookie mistake was I didn't grab my bucket to shovel everything in at the first go around, so I had to go back like 4 or 5 times. That definitely took some time off of the clock.
Now look at this. This is a fridge of happiness right here. This is all the meat you could possibly dream of.
Everybody went straight to the meat locker, and I'm taking a look at the pantry while no one else is looking at it.
So they've chosen based on taste. Again, I'm so intrigued by the concept that you can taste something and figure out what ingredients went into it, what type of meat, what cut of meat it is. That's something that I have no talent for. In fact, I barely have talent for anything.
Carne asada is generally kind of a cheaper cut of meat. And I was taking a look at the meat and said, you know what? I'm going to throw that out the window. I'm creating my own taco. I want to make this the best possible one. And there's this beautiful selection of meats in the fridge. I'm just going to pick the one that I think I can cook like the one that was on offer. It doesn't have to mirror the exact same cut.
What meat did you choose there?
I chose the flat iron steak. So I grabbed this flat iron steak. It looked really beautiful, really amazing marbling, and almost like something I've never seen before. And I think, you know what? This looks like it could be great. You know, the fat to protein ratio looks amazing. I'm going to try and take this one, make it like I would a carne asada, and just go from there.
Flat iron steak.
I know it's not traditional for carne asada, but we're going to try it and see how it goes.
Wow. You could tell he's a vegetarian from the...
I'm the vegetarian here. Like, I'm the butt of all jokes almost here.
I find out that Noah is a vegetarian, so right off the bat I'm like, all right, well, he's not going to be a competition because with all due respect, like, we're making carne asada tacos.
What are you doing
Some
here?
skirt steak.
Skirt steak?
Real traditional. Open the fridge, saw cuts of meat that I wasn't too familiar with, but at the same time, excited to try them out.
It's interesting that some of them are not getting it right already.
No.
Oh, he figured out the citrus.
It's not my first rodeo, Elon.
Well, look at that. Moish is going for the cilantro, huh?
You know it, baby.
I don't know that I tasted cilantro in there.
Yeah, you will in mine.
Look at this. Ben is the first one to get something up there on the stove. What did you put up there? Tomatoes?
Just roasting some veggies.
Roasting some veggies.
Ready for my salsa.
Nice. First guy to get up there. All right, what do you have there, Moish?
I'm just getting my pans fired up, baby.
Okay. And you're marinating meat?
Marinating meat.
Nice.
There we go. Leave that for a while.
What's your plan of action here?
Gonna render down some beef fat.
Oh, that's nice.
Add some flavor.
So what you're doing, like that's like a sauce reduction out of beef fat? What is
It's gonna
that?
be like a beef chicharron.
A beef what?
Chicharron.
Does anyone know what a beef chicharron is?
Yep.
What is it?
It's a gribinis. Gribinis from...
Oh, gribinis, like
yeah.
from the chicken skins. Oh, that's fun.
Can we get more cilantro?
Is that possible? Someone hogged all the cilantro. Slightly unfair.
Just one punch.
Somebody hogged the cilantro.
That's not cilantro.
Oh, sorry.
I think this time the playing ground is a lot more fair. None of these guys
they're all
are
amateurs.
more professional. I mean, Moshe, though, he was here last time, so to be honest with you, I'm going to be keeping my eyes on him more. You know, even for any chef, they're not used to having, being in front of the camera and all this stuff, so it puts pressure on you. So he already has that experience, so I'm going to be a little tougher on him.
Do you guys think Daniel has the advantage because he picked the tastiest cut of meat? Like, that's a little bit of an unfair advantage. That tip of the ribeye. It's like that and skirt steak.
But not everyone knows how to cook it. Not everyone knows how to cook it.
Okay,
That meat takes longer to cook. It can be more raw. The taco, I don't want the most rawest meat. I want something not so chewy also.
For taco, I like medium to medium because the fat, you want to render the fat. We're slicing it before we put it in the tortilla, so you already have that texture taken care of. At that point, with the salsa and this, it needs something that's going to stand up to it also, Let's see how he handles the saltiness of the skirt steak also. That's going to be interesting. And the taco is going to be more forgiving because... Yeah.
Less seasoning too.
Yeah.
Guys, just a thought. A little truffle in the taco, maybe? Bad idea?
Great idea.
By the way, have you done a truffle taco before? Does anyone need any truffle salt? What are we up to here? We're still marinating?
Marinating. We're making a little quick cure vegetable to go on top to give that acidic flavor.
Nice. Now, ideally, how much time would you want this to marinate for?
Days.
Days.
Overnight.
And you have
ideally.
minutes.
I know.
Maybe marinating was not the best choice with only 49 minutes
Well,
left.
you've got to
on the
get, at
clock.
least you'll get something in it.
You'll get some
something
sort
is
of
better than
flavor.
nothing.
Not a rub, not a spice rub.
No, we're just going to do whatever
You went
we
with the
can.
marinade.
With
All
the
right.
marinade, okay.
I'm curious about it. I'll leave you alone, let you get back to work. Look at this. This looks fabulous. That's just gorgeous.
Thank you.
How are you planning on cooking that? Medium, medium rare?
Depends how you like it.
I think everyone wants medium rare, don't
got it.
they?
At your service.
No, that is just salivatingly good. Just that, look at that cut of meat. Look what he did with it. That's a beautiful rub of all sorts of herbs and spices. That's gonna be fun. Guys, we're in the 40s. We're down to 48 minutes. Let's do this.
Lenny. This guy doesn't have a press.
Making it happen, I love it.
He's in control. He's in control also.
If he pulls off the tortilla, that'd be very impressive. That's going to keep him in the running for sure. The real disadvantage is the vegetarian for a guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's at a real disadvantage because everybody else here looks like they're meat eaters. How many tacos do you have to make? 4? Yeah, 4. 4?
Yeah, but hopefully they come out right. So I'd make a few extra. Elon likes his tacos. So.
Now with 46 minutes left, the meat's still in the packaging.
Elon is right there, right in your ear, chippering away.
This is exciting. Guys, we have 45 minutes left on the clock. I'm getting nervous for all of you.
how did I lose 15 minutes? I look at my station and I'm like, barely have the marinade ready for the meat, trying to get it in as fast as I can.
You know what my favorite spice is?
What's that?
Coriander.
Ooh, did you already see that on my table?
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Bro, I do not. I do not have salt because I have skirt steak.
Smart. But you have to have salt with the coriander or the coriander doesn't come out, the flavor doesn't come out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta get some salt.
But don't oversalt it.
I will not oversalt that baby.
How are we doing over here in the UK? Everything going well?
Could be going better.
Could be going better.
Tortillas are not an English dish.
I'm realizing that it's just like falling apart. I try to push it down, make it really flat, roll it thin, and it either just sticks to the table or it like comes apart. I try taking a thick one, put it in the frying pan. It's not really working.
Isn't that a little thick for a taco?
I know it's a little thick, but if I make it any thinner, it's gonna fall apart.
So at this point here, I'm like, okay, I just gotta kind of give up on this and go back to the ready-made tortillas that are in the pantry.
See, I'm leaning towards you because you picked my favorite cut of meat.
Thank you.
So the quicker you get this cooking, the faster I'm eating it. So just
got you. Say no more.
Okay, good. Okay, chefs, it's time to walk the floor, check it out, see what they're up to. Let's go. Guys, the pros are approaching.
Oh boy.
Top of your, be on your best game over here.
One of the more intimidating times of the day is when the chefs start to walk over to the stations and they're like looking at what we've gotten. These guys are pros in the kitchen. They're looking down at my station. Everything's a mess.
So Mosh,
what's up, Lenny?
Skirt steak?
Talk to me. I got the skirt steak marinating, a little.
What's in the marinade?
A little adobo goodness, some spices. I'm gonna also do like a dry rub on it right before the sear.
And here, what's the liquid here?
I just went a little apple cider vinegar, some lime juice, and salt, keeping it super simple.
I personally appreciated it. I wanted to showcase my skill and my passion, and I was happy for them to come by and check it out.
And this is the chicharrón?
This is gonna be the chicharrón.
Where did you take this from the fat?
From the center. You know how the cap and then there's the center?
Nice.
My biggest fear is they're gonna see my food and be like, oh, if you just tasted it, you would do it much better. If you knew your meat, you would do better. But you know what? I'm just busy focused on the project itself. Try to take their feedback on board, very helpful. Just try to keep on cooking.
What we got in here?
We have, I'm trying to quick pickle the vegetables and give it that acidic thing on top.
What is it? What's in there?
I've got some onions, I've got some jalapenos, and I've got, in terms of vegetable itself, radish, yeah. There's red wine vinegar and oil and a bit of salt and pepper, I think, as well.
And which cut did you end up using for the meat?
I used the, whatever it is, the skirt steak, I think.
Growing up with family in Mexico, buying a store-bought tortilla seems kind of grade B. You go over there, especially Passover time, you got fresh corn tortillas made. So I was thinking, you know what? I have cornmeal, and it's not corn flour, but I could probably pull this off.
Oh, what's going on here? Yeah. Talk to me.
I'm attempting to make these corn, guys. It definitely needs a little work. When I got the chefs right now around me, honestly, I'm not really looking at them too much. They're all kind of a blur. I'm trying to focus on what I got going on.
Skirt steak also?
Yeah, a little skirt steak.
What's the season with?
I put a little cayenne pepper, paprika, salt, a tad bit of sea salt and some pepper.
Is sweat part of the ingredients? Because it's dripping.
That's why I didn't get salt before, dude.
Moish is sweating like a bar mitzvah kid about to lane. Relax.
My bar mitzvah was a lot easier than this.
In post-production, we're gonna CGI all the sweat off of Moish's face so that people still have appetites when they're ready to eat it.
That's gonna be a lot of editing.
I just lost mine. 34 minutes, everybody.
And your meat is still marinating?
It should take more time, but I'm trying the best I can, yeah?
Yeah, flat iron, you don't need to, not too much time.
Too much time?
Yeah, you don't need much time. It's a very flavorful meat, as
cool.
it is.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let me get...
Actually, sometimes people over-marinate their meat. That's a big problem, too. And you don't taste the meat.
We have cilantro again, guys. We have cilantro now.
All right, let's go, chef. That's what we're talking about.
It is 1 minute to halftime, folks. 1 minute to halftime.
Zwietzwicker. Harmony!
Oh, we're gonna make believe that did not go in there. Literally half of our time has gone by. I'm nowhere near as far along as I would have liked to be.
This is a lot tougher than I thought. Time's really running by. I've about 30 minutes left. I have everything plated by now.
Well, my anxiety the first 10 minutes was like, I don't have time. And now I'm keeping it simple. I feel like I'm really progressing really well.
I wish I had another 30 minutes, but I was confident with what I had prepared in those first 30 minutes. I was a little on edge, but we got the job done.
We are seconds away from halftime. Seconds away. That is 30 minutes down, 30 minutes to go. Look at the tension in this kitchen. We will see you on the next episode of Skillet Cutthroat. Tune in. Guys, 30 minutes! Previously on Skillet Cutthroat. I'm your host, Elon Gold, and no, I am not in an episode of Breaking Bad. This year, our contestants will be competing for their own barrel of Herzog Special Reserve wines, also a quarter of beef from Marble and Grain, and a premium skillet cutting board from Avosima. Now, let's meet our contestants.
My name is Daniel Nabadi, born and raised in the Valley.
I'm Noah Nathan, I'm actually a vegetarian, but I do cook meat.
So my name is Ben Lanyano, and I come from Valley Village, California.
I am Motion to PC, coming back to Skillet for redemption, baby.
And now for our judges. From Marble and Grain in Miami, Chef Yos is here. From Tierra Sur in Oxnard, Chef Chris. And from La Gondola in Beverly Hills, Chef Neer is here. This year, our judges will be preparing one of their signature dishes for the contestants to replicate. They'll have 1 hour to grab everything they need from the Skillet Pantry, the Marble and Grain Meat Locker, and the Kosher Cook Supply Racks. For today's challenge dish, we're going to be bringing in a guest judge, Chef Lenny from Lenny's Casita. That is 30 minutes down, 30 minutes to go. Look at the tension in this kitchen. This is Skillet Cutthroat. Welcome back, everybody. You've heard of Netflix's show, Is It Cake? This is more like Is It Kugel? But it is very, very exciting. We've got less than 30 minutes on the clock. The contestants are going crazy. They're pressurized. They're trying to get these dishes in time. And of course, whoever makes the best one will move on, and whoever doesn't will be out the door. So let's go see what they're up to. Come on.
I got 30 minutes left. Basically have to take care of the rest of the tortillas and the meat and just plate it nicely.
28 minutes!
Looking at both sides, like Ben is cool as a cucumber. The guy's like making his own tortillas. I'm like, what, how does, like, we're both dealing with the same time constraint. And on the other side, Noah, the vegetarian, also looks like cool as a cucumber. He's just chugging along, and I'm like, all right, forget this, get everybody out of your head. Let's refocus and try to finish the dish.
By the way, it already smells better in here, doesn't it? It smells good. You could smell the steaks grilling and frying and cooking. Is an absolute, oh. Daniel, where are we at here?
We got the meat marinating, got the pickled onions.
Nice.
Got the guac kind of going, got the salsa
That's
matcha.
ready to go.
Yeah, that's ready to go.
So that's going to be a sprinkle at the end?
I don't know. We'll
Don't
see.
talk to me. You got to work.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Look at this guy. He's got it under control. They're having strokes over there, those people. Right. They're like in a complete panic.
Any salt? No. Needs a kick. Yeah, go for it. Maybe a bit of acid. I know, where's my lemon juice?
What you got in there? This is masa?
Some water, and I put a little bit of the beef fat in there. That's it. Okay, come on,
Daniel,
give us some jokes. Let's
got
go.
it. All right, no, I can't. I'm too busy freaking out for all of you.
I was thinking I wish everything was prepared correctly. Like, they kept tasting, and I was like, hey, there's no salt in there. And they kept tasting, and...
Ooh, Chef, hit me up. not as spicy as Lenny would like it, but
Nice, but no comment. I can't start giving
I
you
know.
tips.
It's good. You're good. You're good. Do your
But
thing.
looking forward, let's just say, looking forward. Good move.
Thank you, Chef. It's definitely nerve-wracking because this is the point where you try to steer like a glance of like, hey, do they like it? Do they not like it? But also they're very like stone-faced, so you don't know if your food is good.
Let's take a small look at this cut of meat, see how we did. It needs more time. It's a bit rare. My wife likes it rare, but
Yeah, you're still a little bit rare over there.
you know, I cut open a piece and I see it's like totally rare in the middle. Like, this is really like not what I'm looking for. Like the other pieces like keep on going. I put that piece back on. And that gave me a little bit of anxiety. I want to make sure my meat was like really not overdone. Once it's like underdone, you can kind of just like keep cooking it. But when it's like overdone, there's no coming back from that.
Not done yet, but
Moish, how you feeling at this point?
I mean, other than schwitzing through everything that I've got,
Yeah.
I'm great.
Guys, if you don't make me the extra taco, you automatically lose the game. I just want you to know that.
Sneak preview. Go for it, Chef. I'm not even looking. I'm not even looking, Chef.
What I decided to do was take the cap of the plastic container and make that my mold. Did that to about 2 of them and it's going great, so I'm gonna try to get at least 3 or 4 more out.
Chefs, let's go back to our chef corner and talk about what you saw. Come on over. Have a seat, guys. I want to go over a couple of things that I've witnessed so far. Wow. Like, I'm nervous for at least 1 or 2 of these contestants.
Well, 2 of them haven't even gotten their meats on yet.
They haven't gotten their meats on yet.
One station looks like Jackson Pollock.
I think it's a good thing that I don't have to choose a winner today because it would be a tough call.
Really?
Yeah. Daniel at the end is a pro. He's using the fat of the ribeye to make chicharrón.
Smart.
He's doing salsa macha. He's now, with ease and luxury, taking his time to try to see if he can make tortillas. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's got everything planned out. Other contestants prepped themselves very well, but like this skirt steak, he added salt. Any degree of salt that you add to kosher skirt steak, in my opinion, is a mistake.
The one leg up he has is that before we package it, we actually soak for about half an hour our skirt steak.
Look at that, guys. Marble and grain. Skirt steak, not too salty, just right, like Goldilocks.
For the record, we don't have any sponsors.
And we don't drink in the morning.
I love these cans. Don't you love these Barnura cans? This is a to-go beach drink,
This
right?
is my kiddush on Friday night.
You throw this in a cooler and you're good. Wow. He hasn't even started cooking the meat.
Which is okay if you have everything else lined up and the last thing you want to do is the thing, fine.
Right.
A lot of the contestants are trying to do too much. You know, you have an hour, you think, oh, I have plenty of time.
How long did it, you're the expert, but how long did it take you to deliver those 4 tacos to us?
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. 16 minutes left, and just so you know, Chef Lenny did it in 15. You guys have been at this for 44 minutes already, and it looks like a wreck. Let me see what's happening here. Should I taste it?
Yeah, please.
Let me see. That's actually not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Did you salt it?
A little bit, but the lime's gonna cut. You're gonna see the citrus should come through, hopefully.
I feel like I'm in the middle of the Dead Sea right now.
All right. So Elon just tasted my steak, and it's way too salty.
You may want to do something to reduce the salt in this.
So I'm trying to see what I can do now to take it back. Dabbing it with a towel, that's not gonna work. So I don't know what to do yet, but I did grab the Vegas cut, so that might be it.
Who else? What do we got here? Moish, what are you doing?
What's up, homie?
How's it going?
I'm getting your taco ready.
Nice. Daniel, I gotta taste this meat because this is my favorite cut.
Go ahead.
This is the tip of the ribeye. Oh my. Wow, that's good. What on earth is going on over there?
I also went and grabbed that Vegas strip that I took from the original pull, and I'm seasoning it with a little bit of paprika, salt, pepper, not too much salt, because I want to get the gaminess of that meat to counterbalance what I got going on with the stir steak.
What was that? You're tenderizing it? What are you doing to it? Are you just angry that you're about to lose?
I don't know, hopefully not.
And what cut of steak did you go for?
I remember now, what did I go for? I went for the flat iron.
Oh, flat iron.
Yeah.
Let's see how that worked out. Really nice.
Thank you.
Like grilled to perfection.
Thank you.
And great flavor. Marble and Grain has a great quality of meat.
I know. So yeah, Elon comes around and he's like, this meat is amazing. And I'm thinking like to myself, as he's saying that I did pick the right cut of meat and I did season it correctly.
Wow. This might be my favorite of all the steak flavors so far of the four. Okay.
He managed to freak him out so much that he's second guessing himself. Now he's doing a whole new.
You think Elon got into his head and now he's he do a whole new one, yep.
As a vegetarian, he's starting to plate already. At least he's got something.
Yeah.
You know, then if he wants to add, subtract, switch something, he can do it. At least he has something on the plate.
Not to freak everyone out, but 10 minutes left. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's do this, guys. Come on, last 10.
So with 10 minutes to go, I'm definitely not where I want to be. I'm just going to focus on my plating and just the execution of the taco as best as I can. I definitely wish I had a lot more time. I lost a few minutes just going back and forth to the pantry, and I feel like it's really coming to bite me here.
So I've had my food processor just not turning on. I say, what's going on here? I thought maybe through the movement, somebody unplugged it. So I grabbed it, unplugged it, went to another station, just plugged it in. So I'll process it in my hands, but it didn't work again. Went back to my station. I noticed I was missing that little cap on top. Put it on, got it working.
So you're up to plating now.
I already finished plating.
What's the dilemma here?
I don't know, what else to do on the plate? My one piece of anxiety is, some other people, they seem to be plating it really beautifully. I kind of feel like my plating is a little bit below everyone else's standards. You know, Lenny served us this taco in like a little taco holder. I can do the same, I'll be fine.
That's a problem. That's an ugly looking plate.
I know, that's the problem.
Here's my advice.
Just scrap the plate?
Scrap the plate, just give them the holders. Yeah, because that just looks horrible.
If I lose because of you.
No, but there's no reason for this.
I know. Because it's a taco, not like the...
Yeah, forget plating, forget plating.
One thing that I learned about from Lenny, cooking is all about love. You gotta share. That's the bottom line. Share the love.
Right now, you gotta finish this in 6 minutes.
I'm not worried about me.
I'd stop sharing love and start cooking.
You know, like Ben said. Ben, you're making pizzas there, Ben?
One was good, one was amazing, and one was like great. One was way too soft. I'm still like, way too soft.
You need an IV?
Yeah. 1 minute left. It is now or never, fellas. You gotta be plating, you gotta be ready to serve in 52 seconds.
So I got a minute left, and I'm like, whoa, nothing is plated.
And at this point, this is where I kind of get the idea of I'm gonna put my fresh salsa on the plate by itself, as opposed to putting it into the taco to kind of just give it like another dimension. And I'm just trying to say like, hey, stop sweating, finish your plate, and just execute.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hands down.
That's it. They have completed their task. We will now go into the restaurant where they will be judged, and one of them will be sent home.
Walking to the judges table, really getting a chance to like look around at what the other guys put out. Not feeling that confident in my dish. As much as I loved it, and I know it's a good product, but just looking at what these other guys made, I'm nervous.
Welcome to the home of quality. Design, precision, durability, and creativity, where joy encompasses every moment in the kosher kitchen.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chopped Liver. I'm Elon Gold, and this is a big part of the show. It's the judging. As you can see, the contestants are here. We've cleaned up Moish. Moish was sweating like a mashkiach at a Red Lobster. It is the defining moment. One of these 4 fabulous contestants will have to be sent home. So let's start with Daniel. Daniel, tell our chefs about your process, about your dish, how you went about it. Go ahead.
So chefs, in front of you guys have an open-faced carne asada taco, marinated with some chipotle, some lime, some orange juice. And then to accompany that, we have some pickled shallots. I want to say a guacamole type of sauce. Finished it with some cilantro and salsa macha. It's a little bit spicy. You have some lime on the side there if you guys want some more acid.
I don't know about you guys, but I am loving this. Chef Lenny, what do you think?
It's great. The cut that you used is a good cut, fatty, full of flavor. You cooked it perfectly. The chicharron crunch, also killer. Pickled shallots, but this salsa macha, that's what took it over the edge. I really think you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
I was hoping a little bit more salsa, but the salsa macha happens to be my favorite style of a salsa. A little bit of thinner cuts of meat. Kudos to the tortilla, actually. I watched you do the tortilla. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the tortilla, really enjoyed the whole combination of the dish. I definitely felt the lime opened it up a lot. I really enjoyed the shallots. The steak, a little bit needs to be thinner sliced for the mouthfeel, but other than that, excellent.
Thank you. The way I cut the steak, they wanted it a little bit thinner. I personally liked it a little bit bigger, but can't please everyone.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, chefs.
Let's move on now to our old favorite, Moish. Moish, coming up here. You know, in most situations like this, we count 10 men. With Moish, we're counting 10 fingers. And look at that, he did it, ladies and gentlemen. He's got all 10. Moish, tell the chefs about your process through this dish.
Chefs, once I stopped schwitzing, I did a flame roasted taco. For the cut of meat, I just went very simple and basic with the skirt steak, marinated in a little bit of the ancho chilies, the guajillo chilies, spice rub, cumin, coriander, salt, crushed red pepper, and then part of the marinade, I did lime, lemon, and a little bit of the orange juice just to kind of give it a little bit of that sweetness. Also, there's a dry rub on that I put on right before searing the meat. We've got some pickled onions and pickled jalapenos, some fried shallots for a little bit of an element of crunch, and fresh cilantro on top. And for your salsas, I did a salsa fresca and also a flame roasted salsa. I did not put them on there because when I eat the taco, I want to try to have different salsas with every bite.
Its flavor is amazing. The marination on the meat is really good. Heirloom tomato salsa, amazing. Fresh, bright, the acid comes out really good. Corn tortillas are very tricky. I like to use a lot of fat when I'm warming them up because it allows it to stay longer and to give you a little more buttery feeling. This is a little bit tough and rough.
You should have cut it against the grain instead of with the grain on the skirt stick you chose. And the tortilla is a little bit overdone. It's a little bit burnt. Other than that, your flavors are pretty spot on. It's pretty tasty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, chef.
I have to agree with the chefs. Probably your best thing on the dish here is this fresh salsa. It's out of this world. The meat is a little bit too chewy, a little bit too thick. If it would have been a little bit thinner, but easier to eat.
I also really enjoyed how everything came together inside, especially the avocado and the fried shallots. And I really enjoyed this, the roasted salsa more than the fresh salsa. Again, that's just me. And it's plated beautifully, actually. I like the whole presentation of it.
Well, Moish, you made it out alive and with all appendages. Thank you.
So getting the feedback from the 4 chefs was definitely a huge letdown. They're all saying the same thing, like your taco's too dry, it's too burnt, your meat's a little too chewy, you didn't cut it up the right way, and like I'm the self-proclaimed meat guy. And for somebody to sit there and tell me your skirt steak's cut the wrong way was definitely a huge blow to my ego.
Next up, Ben, come on up here. Face the judges.
So today what I try to do is present to you guys a very simple Mexican street taco. I've been to Mexico many times, have family in DF and Mexico City. So I know that with a real street taco, the tortilla is basically what sets the bar for what you're about to eat. Then there's meat and salsa. 2 different meats. One's a little bit of a saltier piece of meat. The other's a little bit more of a gamier piece of meat. So I like the way they bounce back together like a Mexican Jerusalem plate. The salsa has a bit of a kick to it. It's roasted with 2 different types of tomatoes and fresh made corn tortillas.
Chef Yost, what do you think of Ben's dish here?
I really like the use of the two meats, especially one is skirt steak, which is a little bit saltier, so nice move at the last minute.
I'll agree with you. My wife's actually from DF, so we've been a million times to Mexico. Tortilla is on the spot. For me, it's salsa and tortilla. I eat, the meat is just to fill in. I have to say the salsa really hit the spot. A little salty, because the meat's salty, but it was very good, and I like salty too, but it's super spicy. I would have, though, instead of parsley, put cilantro.
Okay. Thank you, Chef Nir. Chef Chris, what do you think?
I thought it was absolutely delicious. I like the tortilla. The tortilla is the thing that really made it just absolutely pop on the plate. The fact that you made your tortilla from scratch is mind-blowing. If all the other chefs didn't do that, you had time to do that.
Making your own tortilla is not an easy thing. I know better than anybody. And you not only made it, but you also cut it properly so that it was presentable. The skirt steak is way too salty. People make mistakes. They don't realize they have to adjust the salt content on certain cuts like skirt steak and hanger steak. Like Nir said, it's obvious how Israeli you are by putting parsley on the taco.
Wow, well, 3 for 3. Those are some good reviews. Thank you so much. All right, next up, let's bring Noah up to the judges.
So I'm the last one in line. They've got great feedback. Daniel's feedback was amazing. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I could top that.
This is interesting about Noah. Been a vegetarian his entire life, but he still knows enough to work with the meat. By the way, the fact that he's a vegetarian in Tierra Sur restaurant, we should send him home already. But we're gonna give you a shot. Tell us about your taco.
So with this taco, I use the flat iron steak. I marinated it in chipotle. I then want to use the vegetables to bring out the meat and sort of make the dish full. So there's a little bit of oyster mushrooms in there. There's a bit of avocado, and there's some pickled vegetables. There's some radish. There's a little bit of jalapeno, and there is a bit of onion. And then there's a little bit of a deep fried jalapeno at the top with a little bit of cilantro.
All right, well, let's start with Chef Nir. Chef Nir, what do you think? All right, let's go to Chef Chris. Chef Chris, what do you make of Noah's taco there?
Paprika surprised. Thought for sure it'd get all burnt and gross from the paprika that you put on tortilla, but it came out very nice. I like the meat. You cut the meat just right. You get all the flavors in there. I like this dish a lot. Good job.
For someone who's never eaten meat intentionally, you did an amazing job, man. The meat, you chose a flat iron steak. I'm sure you don't even know what a flat iron steak is. And yet, you cooked it perfectly. Spicy component with the jalapeno, amazing. The acid comes through, and it shows that you're a vegetarian based on how much love you gave to all the other components of the dish.
Very impressed, to be honest with you. You had everything going against you. Being vegetarian, your table was a mess. You were nervous. I'm like, this poor kid, he's putting paprika on his tortilla. It's gonna be burnt, it's gonna be bitter. It actually added a nice smokiness. You didn't overdo it. Delicious.
You thought you had a lot of challenges against you and you really came out strong. You know, I would say I love vegetarian food, but with a steak on it. And that's what I feel like this was, is a great vegetarian taco with some amazing flat iron.
Okay, Noah, you can step back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Owen.
It's time for the contestants to step out of the restaurant. The judges will deliberate, and unfortunately, one of you will go home. But the good news is, it sounds like you all did very well, just one of you didn't do as well as the other three. You're fine, get out of here.
This is where it begins, with farm-raised cattle on the rolling fields of American grasslands. Top quality is not just something we say around here, it's what we believe in. That's why we go above and beyond to exceed your culinary expectations by delivering top-tier, restaurant-grade Black Angus beef. Crafted, cut, and packaged under strict supervision. Only the finest cuts make it onto your plate. Explore our carefully curated selection from the comfort of home. Indulge in the art of flavor. Savor each bite, knowing that you've chosen the very best. Marble and Grain.
Whew. That was tough.
Sigh of relief, boys. Sigh of relief. Dude, I cannot believe you made your own tortilla.
I tried and failed.
I'm not confident at this point. The Vegas steak was very gamey, and the stirred steak was very salty. Hopefully I did a good job of mixing them together. My tortillas, the ones that I tasted like they were amazing, especially with the ingredients that I had, but the judges don't care what ingredients I have, they just want good food.
Okay, judges, we're alone here. You could speak freely and truthfully. What'd you make of the 4 guys there?
I was really, really shocked how well they all did. There wasn't a clear, guy that needs to be sent home. I think we need to think about it and talk about it.
So what'd you do differently with your fresh salsa? You got a lot of compliments with that.
I mostly use the heirloom tomatoes,
Oh,
which
wow.
are like a little bit sweeter,
orange and the lime,
softer.
yeah.
I think Noah surprised everybody. The vegetarian kid, he did a great job across the board with this entire taco.
It's funny how the 2 that we thought would make it
Right.
are on the bottom. From all aspects. I mean, literally from the tortilla to the meat, it was overcooked or too tough or undercooked.
The meat wasn't good. One was really salty, really boom, like jerky salt.
He knew the concept of a simple tortilla, but he didn't execute it properly.
And there was no other component on it.
Wait, so what is this hit?
This is called a salsa macha. So you have some nuts, some garlic, some chili.
You made this before?
Oh, wow.
I've made it before, of
You know
course.
what? Let's get some of my leftover tortillas.
And they were obsessing with doing so much and not focusing on just making sure the meat is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just taste the meat, make sure it's good. It's not good, you have an hour. You can get another cut from the fridge and do it again, The fundamental components, the meat, the seasoning, and the salt and the acid, a little bit of spice. Those were the things that I wanted them to focus on. And they were going around sweating and schwitzing and blending and this. It's like, let's keep it simple.
That I don't get at all, actually. How do you cook and season meat properly without tasting it?
I really felt like I did it my best I could do. If I went home today, I'd be a bit disappointed, but I gotta understand. Other guys must have killed it. I did my best I could, and that's okay.
Noah, the vegetarian guy's dish, his meat alone, he picked a great cut. He executed perfectly. He never tasted it.
He never tasted it.
He never tasted
never
it.
tasted it.
And if I didn't know he was vegetarian, I wouldn't even think that the guy's vegetarian because it was just his meat was the best meat out there.
So, chefs, do we have a unanimous decision on who is going home?
I think we're all on the same page and now in the top 2.
Maybe we should bring them out. Let's bring in our contestants. Come on in, fellas. How's it going? Feeling nervous? Feeling the stress? Feeling the tension? Gentlemen, the chefs have rendered their decision. I talk about this in my act that I am modern Orthodox, and after all these years, I finally figured out what modern means in modern Orthodox. It means not so. It's the nicer way of saying I'm not so Orthodox. So, 2 of you are safe, and 2 of you are modern safe. Chef Lenny.
Everyone did an amazing job, really exceptional. But the 2 that I think are the best is going to be Noah and Daniel.
All right, congratulations. You guys can step out. You're safe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Congratulations.
That felt amazing. Like, not only was I safe, but I was like the first 2 to be safe. It's like, this is like the big confidence boost I was looking for.
Lenny tells me I'm safe, and I think, yeah, that's right.
Guys, step on forward.
Now I'm thinking, okay, his meat's a little chewy, his tortilla was a little burnt. I might have a chance here. Same time, oversalt, that I could just end the game right now.
I really think I'm done. His dish was very simple, but the guy made his own tortilla. Like, how do you go wrong with that, right?
As we're about to find out which one of you are going home, let's hear it from our judges.
Moshe, your tortilla was a little bit on the border of burnt, stale, lacked a little bit of that love and the fat.
You know what? Everything was, like the chef said, amazing, but the meat was just chewy. The salsa, in my opinion, the best salsa in the house.
You had enough food on there, it was delicious, except the tortilla was a bit burnt and your meat was a bit of a pull of the tooth, like you talked about.
For Ben, the saltiness. The saltiness of that skirt steak is a dangerous thing. Balanced it out with the other meat, but at the same time, that saltiness was like too much for me to bear, and it was almost too simple of a taco.
The fact that you made your tortilla from scratch, Ben, was absolutely amazing. I love that part of your taco. That was absolutely exquisite, but he's right about the saltiness. The saltiness of the meat was a little bit too much, and it was a little bit too simple. You should have had a little bit more TLC, a little more love on the dish. There wasn't enough on there.
When you realized how salty the skirt steak was, you tried to compensate. That was good thinking. I think that you should have tried to compensate to balance it, a little more vegetables, something else in there.
I love spicy, but the rest of the crowd maybe didn't like it, or it's too spicy.
Knocked it out of the park with the corn tortilla, but that doesn't win competitions alone.
I think what these judges are trying to say is that Lot's wife was not as salty as your beef. But anyway, you both did a great job, and now it's time to find out which one of you is going home. Chef Nir, would you break the bad news?
You both did an amazing job. It's hard to see both of you here. I expected more, that you guys would not be here, but unfortunately,
Z's with ticket.
Z's wie ticket. Harmony.
You both did a great job, and now it's time to find out which one of you is going home. Chef Nir, would you break the bad news?
you both did an amazing job. It's hard to see both of you here. I expected more, that you guys would not be here, but unfortunately, Ben, I'm gonna have to send you home.
Oh man, this is tough. You know, I mean, somebody has to go home.
Big sigh of relief, but at the same time, I felt bad because Ben's a good friend of mine. I give him a big hug, but I'm like, I literally just escaped this by the skin of my teeth, and I cannot wait to get back to this tomorrow.
Definitely gonna keep cooking. You know, you're gonna see me the next backyard stakeout. That's me with my family, my friends, and maybe I'll keep the salt down a little bit.
Sad to see Ben go, but not sad to see you come back on the next episode with Moshe, who made it with all 10 fingers, and our other two contestants we'll see on the next episode.
Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Ladar Velazi, and coming up in today's newscast. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accepts Trump's peace plan, expressing optimism the hostages may be home in a matter of days. Meanwhile, inside Gaza, the IDF has halted its Gaza City offensive and is taking a defensive posture in the Strip. And tens of thousands gather in Tel Aviv to rally for the release of the hostages. Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the nation last night and for the first time expressed optimism that all the hostages will soon be home. Netanyahu signaled strong support for the Trump peace plan for Gaza, describing it as a very significant achievement for Israel. More from ILTV's Debo Klein.
Addressing the nation last night, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel is on the verge of a very significant achievement, and he hopes to announce the return of the hostages held by Hamas very soon.
אנחנו על סף הישג גדול מאוד. זה עדיין לא סופי. אנחנו עובדים על כך במרץ, ואני מקווה בעזרת השם שבימים הקרובים, עוד במהלך חג הסוכות, אוכל לבשר לכם על השבת כל חטופינו, החיים והחללים כאחד, בפעימה אחת, כשצה"ל נשאר בעומק הרצועה ובשטחים השולטים בה.
Ahead of mediated negotiations due to begin in Cairo, Netanyahu said that he instructed the Israeli negotiating team to make the process as short as possible, noting that President Trump will not tolerate stalling tactics, delays, or evasions by Hamas.
אני הנחיתי את צוות המשא ומתן בראשות השר דרמר לצאת למצרים כדי לסגור את הפרטים הטכניים של שחרור חטופינו. הכוונה שלנו, והכוונה של ידידינו האמריקנים, היא לתחום את המשא ומתן הזה בימים בודדים. ושמעתם את הנשיא טראמפ הערב. הוא אמר בבירור, לא נסבול לו תרגילי דחייה, משיכת זמן או התחמקות מצד החמאס.
In his address, the Prime Minister outlined the phases of the agreement, reiterating that the first stage will see the immediate release of the remaining 48 hostages.
בשלב הראשון, החמאס ישחרר את כל חטופינו, וכוחות צה"ל יפרסו מחדש באופן שצה"ל ימשיך להחזיק בכל השטחים השולטים בעומק הרצועה. אני שומע שיש כאלה שאומרים היום שהחמאס היה מוכן כבר לפני שנה או אפילו לפני שנתיים לשחרר את כל חטופינו מבלי שניסוג נסיגה מלאה מהרצועה. טוב, אני אומר לכם, זה פשוט שקר.
The Prime Minister outlined the second phase, which, if materialized, would essentially see Israel achieve all of its war goals.
עכשיו, בשלב השני, החמאס יפורק מנשקו והרצועה תפורז. זה יקרה או בדרך מדינית לפי תוכנית טראמפ, או בדרך צבאית, על ידינו. גם את זה אמרתי בוושינגטון.
Netanyahu reiterated his stance that only Israel's military pressure, combined with Washington's diplomatic moves, is what made this deal possible.
כדי להחזיר את 48 חטופינו הנותרים, הנחיתי לפני כמה שבועות את צה"ל להיכנס למעוז החשוב ביותר של החמאס, העיר עזה. במקביל, תיאמתי עם הנשיא טראמפ וצוותו מהלך מדיני שהפך בן רגע את הקערה. במקום שישראל תבודד, החמאס מבודד. וכתוצאה מהלחץ הצבאי העצים שהפעלנו והלחץ המדיני, החמאס נלחץ להסכים לתוכנית שהבאנו.
The remarks by Prime Minister Netanyahu followed dramatic developments over the weekend led by U.S. President Donald Trump to bring the Gaza war to an end and return all Israeli hostages within days. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Truth Social late Saturday night that Israel had agreed to the initial withdrawal line, which the U.S. had shared with Hamas. Awaiting Hamas's confirmation, the ceasefire will be immediately effective and the hostages and prisoner exchange will begin, paving the way for the next phase. This marks another step forwards towards the implementation of President Trump's potential agreement, which he said will end the, quote, 3,000-year catastrophe. Over the weekend, Trump announced the agreement, describing it as a big day.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together: Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out.
Indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas are set to begin tomorrow in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff is on his way, and the Israeli team, led by Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, is preparing to depart. Senior U.S. and Israeli officials are saying that if the talks go smoothly, the hostages could be freed within a few days. The plan, coordinated directly between Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, calls for a tactical Israeli withdrawal, with the IDF remaining in most of Gaza while all hostages are released immediately.
We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive.
Hamas has signaled partial acceptance under heavy pressure from the United States and Arab states. Trump had given the group until tonight to agree fully or face, quote, grave consequences.
So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East, and we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
And following orders from the political echelon, the IDF is taking defensive positions in Gaza and has halted the offensive in Gaza City. The army remains deep inside the Strip and remains ready to respond to any threats or provocations. More from ILTV's Steve Leibovitz.
IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir ordered the Israeli army to prepare for the implementation of the first stage of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza and free the remaining Israeli hostages. The IDF statement read, "In accordance with the directives from the political echelon, the Chief of the General Staff instructed to advance readiness for the implementation of the first phase of the Trump plan for the release of the hostages. At the same time, it was emphasized that the safety of IDF troops is a top priority and that all IDF capabilities will be allocated to the Southern Command to ensure the protection of the troops." The moves by the IDF chief came after statements from Trump and Hamas signaling a possible breakthrough. Zamir held an urgent meeting with top generals for what the Army called a special situational assessment in light of the developments. The Trump agreement allows the IDF to remain deployed in Gaza during the first phase of the agreement. Zamir told commanders to maintain maximum readiness and rapid response to any threat during this sensitive period. The move to a defensive posture came after Trump publicly called on Israel to stop airstrikes as he pushes to finalize his peace and hostage release proposal. Meanwhile, the IDF has issued a stark warning to Palestinians not to return to Gaza City, calling the area a dangerous combat zone. IDF troops are still encircling the city, and the military continues targeted defensive strikes against imminent threats.
The Trump plan to end the war in Gaza is receiving strong backing from key players within the Arab and Muslim world, as well as from the United Nations and Western world leaders. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are pressing for the deal. The Palestinian Authority and the UN are also expressing strong support for President Trump's Gaza Peace Initiative. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed Hamas's positive response to the plan, calling it a crucial step towards a ceasefire, the release of the hostages, and the reconstruction of Gaza under Palestinian leadership. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Hamas is ready for peace, describing the moment as a rare window of opportunity for the region. And in Geneva, UN Rights Chief Volker Turk called the Trump plan a vital opportunity to end the bloodshed once and for all, urging all parties to act in good faith. Interesting how some of these countries are jumping on board the so-called peace agreement, even though they have been inciting towards terrorism against Israel for years and continue to do so even as we speak. And joining us now with more on U.S. President Trump's peace plan is Ari Harrow, former Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Ari, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lidar.
So, you know the Prime Minister well. You've been in these sort of closed-door negotiations alongside him at the White House before. You have, I would say, unique insight into sort of the processes. There's so much noise, so much misinformation surrounding Trump's plan and how it came to be. I want to ask you, what is the bottom line? What goes on behind the closed doors?
Well, I think what we're witnessing is actually an intense relationship like no other that we've seen in the history of the U.S.-Israel relationship. And as such, the level of coordination and the level of communication between the White House and the Prime Minister's office today is unprecedented. As such, a plan like the one we're seeing today is definitely something that was discussed back and forth and agreed upon before it was shown the light of day.
And there are still a lot of questions. First and foremost, of course, Hamas's response, which said yes to some aspects and no to sort of some of the core tenets of the plan. I mean, what do you make of this?
I don't find it at all surprising. We are very familiar here in Israel with the fact that, first and foremost, Hamas is a murderous, treacherous terrorist organization. Their goal, their stated goal, is the destruction of the state of Israel, the murder of Jews, not only in Israel, of course, but globally. And as such, any type of dealings with them is going to be, I would say, the opposite of smooth sailing. I understand that the current plan that we're seeing really has succeeded to a certain degree so far just because of the leverage that President Trump and the United States have been able to bring on the broader Muslim world and the Gulf states that trickles down to Hamas. But in dealing with Hamas as its own entity, we should never forget, not even for a second, who we're really dealing with.
And why now? I mean, why is this plan coming together now? Why not a year ago? I mean, why now?
So I think there's a number of different opportunities that sort of came together. Firstly, there was a window after Israel and the U.S. attacked the Iranian nuclear installations. But at that point, Hamas still felt that they could hold out longer. And part of that, mind you, is because of the support that they received from European capitals that expressed willingness and action towards recognizing a Palestinian state. When Israeli spokespeople spoke out and said, you are giving a prize to terror by recognizing Palestinian statehood, this is exactly what they were referring to. And as such, instead of bringing the war closer to an end, instead of bringing the hostages closer to being home, they actively pushed it away. And I think that when those countries saw that the United States was not budging, when Israel took decisive action by targeting Hamas leaders in Qatar, when Israel took decisive action by sending troops into Gaza City, I think they realized that time is running out. And once President Trump was able to recruit, most specifically, Turkey and Qatar, where the Hamas foreign leadership situates itself, and recognizing that they may no longer be welcome in those capitals, did Hamas realize that this is a hand that has been fully played.
All right, Ari Harrow, thank you so much for joining us today and for your unique insights.
My pleasure.
On October 7, I was here at the Nova Music Festival. I ran for my life, hid for 7 hours. Terrorists shot me twice. Thankfully, I survived. I'm still dealing with trauma, and I'm not alone. 3 million Israelis are in trauma. They need mental health care or physical rehabilitation. Wounded soldiers, families, and scared children.
Since 1912, Hadassah has been a life-changing force in Israel. Today, Hadassah has 2 world-renowned hospitals, pioneers breakthrough medical research, cares for at-risk youth, and has built the much-needed and largest rehabilitation facility in Jerusalem.
Thank you to everyone at Hadassah Hospitals. You've been helping me, and so many others. And a special thanks to one nurse, my mom. I love you.
And moving on, tens of thousands gathered in Tel Aviv last night to rally for a ceasefire hostage deal, as the U.S.-led proposal to end the Gaza war appears to be moving forward. A huge placard held above the crowd read, "It's now or never," echoing the message of U.S. President Donald Trump and posting images of the banner. With negotiations expected to begin soon, hostage families are calling this a decisive moment, sending a united message: bring them all home. The families say these are days that will determine whether the living hostages return for rehabilitation and the deceased return for proper burial. They're thanking President Trump for his initiative and calling on Israeli leaders to seize this opportunity. The families of the Israeli hostages expressed cautious optimism.
And yet we must remember that on the other side of the fence, there is a terrorist organization that killed, butchered, slaughtered, tortured, and still tortured after kidnapping. And we need to make sure we, the Western countries, our allies, the mediators, of course Israel, we have to make sure that this deal goes all the way through. I have no expectations of these murderers, but we, the Western world, must make sure that this deal comes through this time all the way till the end, until my cousin Tal is back home.
I'm calling President Trump, please do everything, put any pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu and also on the Hamas to make it happen. We've got to finish this war. We've got to bring them all back home now, not tomorrow, now, right now.
We are going to the cemetery on Monday. We have so many to pay, so many dear ones to pay respect to. It's not an easy week, but we're holding for the hope that this is going to end. We want our lives back. We want our normal daily life back. We want the region to heal.
And on October 16th, ILTV News and the Jewish Agency for Israel will mark 2 years since the October 7th massacre with a powerful 90-minute broadcast. This special event will share survivor testimonies, stories of resilience, and the unity of Jewish communities worldwide. Join us as we honor the victims, support the families, and stand together for Israel's future. Scan the QR code now to sign up and be part of this meaningful program. And moving on, Thursday's terrorist attack on the Manchester synagogue, in which 2 Jewish worshippers were killed, and has left many in the Jewish community questioning their safety and future in the UK.
The Manchester synagogue attack dominated headlines in the UK over the weekend, with the attacker being named by police as Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent and alleged rapist who was shot dead at the scene by police officers. The perpetrator's father, Faraj al-Shami, is a trauma surgeon. He tried to distance the family from his son's attack, calling it a profound shock and saying they strongly condemn this heinous act. But old social media posts have since emerged showing the father's support and glorification of terrorism, including Hamas's October 7th attacks. On Friday, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited the site of the attack, pledging that his government will rise to the challenge to defeat anti-Semitism. The government has deployed hundreds of extra police officers around synagogues and Jewish institutions in the UK. But many in the Jewish community say this is not the way and are calling out on the UK government to stand firm against terror and radical Islam. Starmer attempted to do so, issuing a statement calling on protesters not to take to the streets out of respect for British Jews. But his polite request fell on deaf ears. As just one day after the shooting, mass anti-Israel protests in London took place, with hundreds detained for glorifying terrorism. As such, in light of the British government's perceived weakness against terror, anti-Semitism, and radical Islam, many Jews are now questioning their future in the UK.
It's very difficult to articulate at this moment in time how the Jewish community is feeling. For 2 years now we have felt lonely and isolated. We've raised this issue of high levels of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic hate crime targeting Jewish people, and at times there's been very little solidarity and support from people who should know better. So at this moment in time we are calling out to everyone to wrap their arms around the Jewish community and show us that support, because make no mistake, Jewish people here are actively questioning whether we have a future in the United Kingdom and whether this country is going to be as welcoming to our children as it has been to myself and my family over many generations.
More headlines for the Summit Flotilla this week as Greta Thunberg and her partners in crime, who illegally tried to break a maritime blockade and sail into a war zone, have been detained. And now, after sailing on a party boat where Israeli authorities found condom wrappers and booze, they are decrying their treatment here in Israel. Thunberg claiming the beds are uncomfortable, that there are bed bugs, and she's not being given enough food to satisfy her appetite. All this according to a letter sent by the Swedish embassy to her family after Swedish officials were allowed to meet with her in her detention cell. Really? Well, cry me a river. I have to say the audacity of this privileged girl is unbelievable. She knowingly broke the law for the second time, pulling off nothing more than a publicity stunt. Her aid convoy? Well, it turns out it didn't even have any aid.
I'm inside one of the vessels, one of the largest vessels to come in this Yom Kippur flotilla. And while we're processing this boat, there's one thing missing, guys. All this aid that they were supposed to bring into Gaza, which explains one thing to me, I'm sure it explains to you, that when we and multiple other countries offered them to take this aid and bring it to the Gazans, we could facilitate its safe arrival, they flat out rejected it. And now we know why, because it was never about bringing aid to Gazans, but it was all about the headlines and the social media followings.
And for the Israel haters watching, yes, the flotilla group even confirmed in a statement that there was little to no aid on board. So why the stunt? Because Greta and her friends know full well that Israel will not mistreat them. Israel will simply send them back on their merry way so they can continue to smear Israel an attempt to break the law all over again. Officials were allowed to meet with Greta. What about the hostages? There are currently 20 hostages still alive in Gaza. They are emaciated, starving, being tortured, not by being given an uncomfortable bed, but really, actually brutally beaten and tortured. They have no food, little water, and some have not seen sunlight for nearly 2 years because they are being held in an underground dungeon. So Greta, spare us all this entitled whining and complaining. You are a criminal, you are a liar, and you have no idea what real suffering is.
On Rosh Hashanah, every bite of apple and honey holds a quiet prayer. May this year be better. May it be sweeter. But the blessing of sweetness stands on the edge of disappearing. Bee populations are collapsing from habitat loss and disease, taking with them something more than honey, a promise to future generations. Technion researchers are harnessing the power of science, racing to save our world's tiniest heroes before it's too late. They're creating AI-powered hives that protect and heal, and robotic bees that lend a helping wing. L'dor Vador, from generation to generation, means caring for every link in the chain, keeping the sweetness of this holiday alive. Because tradition isn't just about the past, it's about the future we have the courage to create.
And with that, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see clear skies alongside hot temperatures with highs of 28 degrees Celsius or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels and our new live channel. And you can also catch us on Screen IL with 24/7 live coverage. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Ladar Gravelazi. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.
ILTV News, your source for Israel in English. Reporting from the ground where it happens, as it happens. An authentic, trusted voice in daily Israel news. Airing on 11 international TV channels and now launching a 24/7 Israeli news channel. Reaching millions every month across all social platforms. Independent, real, powered by truth. We don't just report, we connect, thanks to a worldwide community that stands for truth. This is ILTV, your source for Israel in English.
עוד יותר, כן, עוד יותר, עוד יותר, כן. מזל טוב.
אתה הכי טוב.
עוד יותר טוב. אלבר, רק את הטוב! ועוד הנפקה מוצלחת לחברת ההייטק הישראלית. אולי תהיה יותר טוב, משה. גבירותיי ורבותיי, נחתנו זה עתה בזמן התעופה בן גוריון. ברוכים הבאים לישראל.
Israel is strong and growing. Now, more than ever, is the time to make Aliyah.
On Rosh Hashanah, every bite of apple and honey holds a quiet prayer. May this year be better. May it be sweeter. But the blessing of sweetness stands on the edge of disappearing. Bee populations are collapsing from habitat loss and disease, taking with them something more than honey, a promise to future generations. Technion researchers are harnessing the power of science, racing to save our world's tiniest heroes before it's too late. They're creating AI-powered hives that protect and heal, and robotic bees that lend a helping wing. L'Adore Vador, from generation to generation, means caring for every link in the chain, keeping the sweetness of this holiday alive. Because tradition isn't just about the past, it's about the future we have the courage to create.
Every day, Efrat gives women facing unplanned pregnancies the courage and support to choose life. From cribs and strollers to food, diapers, and daycare, Efrat ensures babies are not only born, but thrive in loving homes. For more than 40 years, nearly 90,000 women have chosen motherhood with Efrat by their side. Your gift today means one more woman has a real choice. One more baby has a future. Donate now.
Some family secrets aren't locked in safes. They're locked in language. Your heritage is waiting in Hebrew. The conversations at dinner tables, the inscriptions on heirlooms, the letters that shaped your history. When you study with Rosen Hebrew School, you can discover your family's past. In months, not years, you'll connect with long-lost ancestors through language. Stop being a spectator in your own family story. We don't just teach Hebrew, we unlock the stories that made you, you. Which family mystery will you solve?
Hi, I'm Naomi Nachman, and this is Sunny Side Up. Hi, I'm Naomi Nachman, and this is Sunny Side Up. Sawadika! How are you?
Good, Berkshire. How are you, Naomi?
It's so great to have my very good
So
friend,
good to be here.
Shandy Platzker, right here on the show. And what are we going to make today?
We're going to make something today that's very different. It's very different, and it's inspired by something that Naomi and I both love. So let's list some things that we love, Naomi.
Dancing.
Dancing, like really, really. We both love to sing.
Well, she has a way better voice than me.
We both love to eat.
Definitely love eating.
For sure. And then there's one thing that we both love to do that I don't know if they know about. We both love to travel. We both love to travel. Naomi, I want to know, where was your favorite place that you've been to?
Okay, so I have been so many places, but I loved Thailand.
Me too.
We both spoke about that.
We've spoken about our love for Thailand, and I actually told Naomi, you know, when I was in Thailand and I was there for a couple of weeks, they had the most fantastic food. I've been back in America for 3 years since. I've never tasted good Thai food since then. And Naomi's like, hello, that's my thing.
That's my thing. So today, Shandy, I'm going to teach you how to make pad Thai.
I'm so excited.
The recipe's actually in perfect flavors because
I
after my
know.
trip to Thailand, I was very inspired by watching them cook on the streets, big pots of delicious fresh pasta.
It's like a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and they cook it up fresh on the street, and you eat it like walking around the streets of Thailand and Bangkok, and I'm like, I've got to learn how to make it. So I learned how to make it. I put it in my book, and now Shandy,
You're literally...
you guys and Shandy, we're getting together. We're going to make pad Thai.
I'm so excited because honestly, I think really since then, I've been wanting for so long to taste good Thai food. So this is going to be really exciting for me as well. And here's the thing. I don't know how to make pad Thai, so you're going to teach me.
I'm going to teach you.
We'll teach you.
And then maybe off camera, you'll teach me how to sing.
We'll have a little singing lesson.
All right. We look forward to that. Okay. So first, we need to start off by cooking our rice noodles. These are awesome because they're also gluten-free. I call these like nests. You get 4 nests in a package. And what you do is you bring water to the boil first, and then you just drop here. You can drop some.
That's simple enough, I think.
Simple enough. And you don't, you cook it in boiled water. Let it soak in the boiling water. And basically that's it for a little bit. And we're going to let that soften in the water. And then we'll drain it, and we'll come back to that in a little bit.
We'll do
Simple.
that. So simple. Literally just, wow. This is something even I can do.
Okay, so now we're going to make the sauce for the pad Thai. Okay?
Probably the most, is that the most important part?
Yes, because
That's what gives it the flavor.
so many flavors. Thai food is like sour and sweet and hot and
It's
spicy.
indescribable.
Right.
Honestly, indescribable goodness.
It tickles your tongue. I'm looking to always break people's traditional flavor profiles, and this is a really great recipe.
That's great.
We put in some sweet chili paste, and we're going to put in some fresh lime juice. They use a lot of limes there. I'm going to
Right, that's true. A lot of lime.
So that was some toasted sesame oil. They use a lot of brown sugar.
Yum.
Also, there's some brown sugar, or you could use coconut sugar. Now, for the tamarind.
What is that?
Tamarind is a pod. And what they do is they make a concentrate out of it. They use it also in a lot of Indian cooking and Syrian cooking. Yeah, it's really...
Guys, this is not your typical gefilte
not
fish
your
today.
typical. Okay? Just bring that to a boil, and we're going to add in some soy
sauce. Look at that. I know my ingredients by the look.
Okay. Good job. You're doing great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to put in a little bit of red pepper flakes?
I would be honored.
Do you like very spicy?
Yeah. Can we put in all of it?
A little bit. Let's go in slowly.
So
you can always
I do
add
like
spice
do you know
after.
that thing?
Yeah, do
the
it.
salt
do it.
thing? Okay.